What's going on? 601. Good morning from the 1045 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. We got two sports back in Nashville sports. Nashville Predators last night fell to the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-3. Still not a bad showing. Gave up an open goal net late in the game. You also had the Grizzlies back in preseason action, beating the Bucks 108-102. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 1045 The Zone.
Welcome to your Wednesday morning, the middle of the week on RKW. We are brewed by 8th and Roast on a week that's flying by. This time in 2 days, we will be talking to you from the Admiralty in London, and today we begin our prep and preview of the Ratbirds, who take on the Tennessee Titans across the pond this upcoming weekend. We've got Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer. My name is Will Bowling. Coming up this morning, Fraud versus For Real returns in 20 minutes. Brian Rice from Sports Radio WNML at 7:20. Scout Meeting Wednesday in Hour 3. The executive producer of Titans Radio, Rhett, Bryan at 9 o'clock. Inky Johnson with Midweek Motivation closes out the show. What's going on, everybody? Good morning.
We're rolling.
We're rolling.
Rocking and rolling.
Exactly what we're doing. We're rolling this morning, man. It's hump day. Feel like we ain't said that in a while, man. It's absolutely necessary. We say that every once in a while, man.
And Ramon, you made a good point.
Yeah.
You were saying you're trying to tire yourself out because I came in, I'm like, I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I'm trying to tire myself out. I said, why? He goes, so I can sleep on the plane.
Yes.
And I go, okay, I need to take notes.
Yeah.
Pro tip right there.
I want to stare
get
at
tired.
my iPad and be nodding off. And
Yeah.
my nod off need to be a complete sleep after that. That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do.
I'm doing the opposite.
What are you
You're
doing?
doing the opposite.
Trying to sleep as much as I can before we go.
Wow.
You just power hour. From
Well,
the get-go.
okay, think of it this way. So the Braves in Game 4 of the NLDS against the Phillies will be playing at 5 o'clock Eastern on Thursday. So
Yep.
around the time that we are in the air beginning our trip. So I'm not sleeping then on the plane. And depending on how long that game goes, I will not be asleep. I will be watching the Braves and Phillies. So at that point, maybe a couple hours of sleep. And then from there, like if they play a Game 5, the first pitch will be at midnight.
Yeah.
And I'll be awake on somewhere watching that. Tennessee at 8:30 Saturday night. So I'm going to just try to sleep as much as possible. And look, guys, like we talk about sports. Like in the grand scheme of things, we're not that tired. This is not real. Like what we do is not real. This is not hard. So, for 3
Well, we're
days,
here.
we can travel around London, and I will. I'm going to sleep now and after, and then this entire week will be. It's my first time out of the country. We're going to live it up. It's going to be great.
Hey, look, I'm not 25 anymore. I wish I could say that.
25, 35,
body is-
75. Look, we'll make it work.
A fine oiled machine at this point.
We will make
Oiled
it
by
work.
coffee.
And that's what's going to get us through. That and those little cat naps that we're afforded
Exactly.
to. So,
First international trip, though. So
Is it?
this will be interesting to see just how you navigate it and first time for everything. So.
it's more, what do you call it, westernized? What are you, it's more Western than you think as far as the,
Right.
the
It's
workings
Most Western,
of what.
like European city.
Yeah.
It is that as far as the workings of it being in America and stuff like. I mean,
Sure.
it correlating to America and whatnot. So it will be a good time. Again, the game's gonna get played over there. I'm looking forward to seeing what this crowd is gonna be like.
Me
Again,
too.
I've told you guys, like going to different cities now with Titans Radio and just being able to look around the city, I can take an appreciation of why people love Chicago and people love their cities where they're from. Cleveland, I wasn't overly impressed by. I'm going to be honest with y'all. And that's no crap on Cleveland because Cleveland has a lot going on there. Well,
Don't do that. Don't bless their hearts.
No
Don't
way.
bless, as you always
Oh,
say,
boy.
it's worse to have your heart blessed than to be just totally spat
That's
in your
boy.
very
face.
true. It wasn't. I wouldn't stay there. You're 100% correct, Will. You don't
Thank
bless
you.
his
Unless you
heart.
were having, I mean, what if you played there? You had to.
I mean, that's different then.
Right?
And maybe my outlook will be a little bit different. But
Sure.
you're
Well,
right.
zeros on that check. Change an opinion real quick.
Right.
I'm talking about I'll switch up quick for that one. Okay. But because I didn't think much of Pittsburgh in the beginning.
That's true.
And lo and behold, it turned out to be the reason I liked Pittsburgh.
I still don't.
You want, and that's fair, very fair.
I'm
No,
kidding.
no, we throw shots.
I
in
just
there.
screw up stepping on towels.
No, well, that's the one you can't do. Okay?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But the reason I ended up falling in love with the city of Pittsburgh, it
Yeah.
reminded me so much of Nashville. Without all the hoopla
Really?
and hollering. Yes. And the pizzazz that Nashville possess.
Mm-hmm.
Sports crazy city.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. More blue collar than you think. And it's simple.
Right.
Nashville is somewhat still that, other than the outsiders that come in. I adjusted well to going, what we like to say down south, going up north.
Right.
I was so scared of that. And as
Really?
a 21, 22-year-old, heck yeah. Go up north. Everybody always tell you, like, going up north is like the fast city, is big city, is this and that. And it was like being in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
It really was.
It's not like it's a big city, but it's like a big,
It's a
small city.
Big, small city.
Yeah.
A lot like Nashville.
The one thing you can bond with rural PA with is that there are rednecks everywhere around the country
Shocked me.
and around the world, too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the misnomer for people in the South is that we're the only ones that have rednecks.
No.
I know.
Dog.
Our old producer, Justice Schaefer, could vouch for that.
Justice Schaefer.
I drove down because we used to do this. I'm not sure if the Titans did it. This summer basketball league with the team. We used to go play like different high schools for charity and stuff.
Sure.
And some of the cities we would go to would be like going to, respectfully, East Robinson,
Yeah,
or
right.
going to those smaller cities and stuff like that. Going to Cookeville and stuff. So you hit these back roads. Some places I saw and some representation, I was just like, you fought with the North up here, right?
The more we go
Yeah.
to other cities, the more you realize that people are just like we are here.
just the same.
Yeah, right.
That's why I hate that
That's
people
fair.
can't get along, man. You feel me? Like, we're all just the same, surviving as little people on this big old world, man. But yeah, a lot of Western PA is a lot like Nashville.
Yeah.
As we
Learned
continue to
something new
hate
today.
the AFC North today, Bert. I got some good stuff
Hate
against the
week.
Ravens today.
Ratbirds.
Yeah, with the way you massaged the ego of Titans fans for the Browns scout meeting Wednesday, I'm very curious to see
Oh,
what
boy.
you have cooked up for the Ravens this morning.
Oh boy.
We should have Robert fact checked of true or false after everything Ramon says during scout meeting Wednesday today.
No doubt. That's honestly why my detail, I was just like, I can't be wrong, because Bert know his squad. Bert know the fourth person behind Harbaugh is what I'm telling you. Like, he may even get a snap. So it'll be thorough for a lot of different reasons, though. This team, you got to get a dub.
The way my luck is going, the Titans are going to beat the Ravens so bad that Will Levis and Malik Willis are both going to get snaps in London.
Wouldn't that mean that Malik gets hurt
Oh!
and Will has to play as an emergency quarterback?
No, Malik Willis scores so many points also that they're like, get him out of here. We don't want him to get hurt either. Everyone is going to score so many points. Mason Kinsey is going to have 3 catches for 900 yards.
Wow.
3 touchdowns.
Okay. What's the exchange rate on
Dang.
that meters?
I don't have that equation down.
Sure.
But Jack Gibbons is going to have 433 tackles in this game.
Wow, okay.
I am not confident
Look at
whatsoever.
you.
Goodness.
Y'all do have some issues at hand, though. I will say that the Ravens do, and I know Bert's like me. I don't like to say mention your team of where your loyalty's at often, but I'll just say this: the Ravens do have some issues that have to get answered. But this is why I fear for the Titans before we get to Scout Meeting Wednesday. And I'll say it again in the Scout Meeting Wednesday portion of the show. You can't expect the team to perform the way they did last week.
And
And
they're not playing the Steelers in Pittsburgh either.
and that's
Right.
the other thing too. Well, both teams.
See, it's the Baltimore equivalent of Tennessee going to the swamp
Yeah.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it really is. We'll see if that extra day gonna mean anything, and also how the Titans respond and health of this Titans team. We got to figure out a lot
Jeffrey
of stuff.
Simmons, yeah.
Yeah, straight up. And also, as much flack as Christian Fulton took, we'll see if he's gonna be out there also.
Yeah, because Mike Vrabel left that a little bit open.
Yeah, Yeah.
for interpretation.
A lot of questions to be answered over the pond this week, man. A lot of questions.
The Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
Scout meeting Wednesday.
No, you
how
don't,
we're gonna
Ramon.
do
Actually, keep
we
going.
shall.
Yeah, go
the
ahead.
Baltimore Ravens.
Oh
That's
my
pretty
God!
good, actually. That's
Thank
not
you.
bad.
Did you
Thank
work on it last night?
I did not. It's just
Rat buds.
Radbirds. Yes. I'm having my cup of coffee this morning.
All right,
Coffee.
and you lost
Then
it.
you talk like with some
Coffee.
Boston.
My coffee this
Yeah.
morning.
Down by the
Boston
harbor.
guy.
Like, what are you just, that was actually closer to a Baltimore accent than it was a British accent.
That's great.
You know what I asked Savage? Because he's so versed over
Well
there.
traveled.
Well-traveled, Ron. I was like, can I take cigars with me? Because I don't want to take
Yeah.
any. I'm taking my backpack 3-4 times. I'm not trying to get Brittany Griner over there, okay? As far as getting caught with something illegal like a cigar or a lighter. So I'm checking my bag. I was like, can I take cigars? And he was like, no, they got cigar houses over there. You'll be fine. So,
Okay, so you're not taking.
No, I'm not. And I'm not taking anything
There are
extra.
plenty.
Okay.
Yeah, there's plenty.
I did maybe find a pub that's going to have the Tennessee game on.
Don't tempt me.
What was it? This is 2023. 5 years ago, they had the Tennessee Alabama game on. Is what I found. So
What?
again, leave
Really
it to me
doing
to
research.
find something. But yeah, they have certain they show NFL every Sunday, like every Sunday, not just when it's in London. But they had Tennessee Alabama on 5 years ago. So who's to say?
Interesting.
Yeah, that's
There
gonna be
is hope. So
fascinating.
you're saying
There's
there's
a
hope.
tiny bit of hope.
There's
Yeah.
hope. If not, I'll bring the iPad. We'll figure something out
go.
from there.
I will do the same.
Yeah.
615-737-1045 in the Evident Bank chat as well. You can watch the show, comment on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch, please.
Unfortunately, you can't comment on Twitter because Elon hates us and things that are good for his company. So it's hard to interact with us there. But if you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, you can happily do so there. And we will see it and join the conversation with you. Coming up, fraud versus for real in the world of football. This is an easier exercise this year in college football than it is the NFL. We like to do this about 4 or 5 weeks into each season to tell you who is underrated and who is overrated. Bit harder in the NFL than it is in college this year with many more options of teams that are solid but maybe not perfect. That's basically just Georgia at this point. We'll dive into that coming up next.
It's Will and Ramon. Wake up, good people. It's Will and Ramon for Kellum Stem Cell Institute. Here to tell you guys about how you can progressively make yourself feel better, man, with your body's own healing agents, Will. Whether that's inflammation, whether that's you lifting a ton in the gym and not having much soreness the next day, man. That's what they can provide for you on a smaller scale.
Yeah, that's right, Ramon. And patients worldwide have received care at the Kellum Stem Cell Institute. There are so many stories we've heard about of people who say this is a life-changing treatment. There's been pain, there has been aches, and that joint pain is something that you can take care of. These are literally your cells healing your body. It's completely revolutionary treatment from the Kellum Stem Cell Institute. You got to check them out online, KellumStemCellInstitute.com. Dr. Kellum has worked with professional athletes. This is great therapy for concussions or just anything that needs reduced inflammation. Check them out online, KellumStemCellInstitute.com. That's KELLUM StemCellInstitute.com. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast right here on 104.5 The Zone. You can find your favorite retail bag in every local Kroger and Whole Foods, where you can stop by and see them, get it hot and fresh out the kitchen, literally. If you go by 8th Avenue, Charlotte, or if you're flying out of Nashville or flying in, first of all, welcome or travel safe, and you can get some at the airport. That's what we'll be doing on Thursday afternoon as we begin our journey across the pond. Longest flight I will have ever been on.
Yeah.
Can't wait. It'll be fun.
Because how long is it technically?
I believe it's like 8.5 hours, 9 hours.
8.5? I thought it was 6 over the
I've
water.
done drives that long plenty of times. I did do a 24-hour drive once.
Yeah, right.
Uh-huh. I wasn't driving. I was riding, but yeah.
Wow.
To Glorieta, New Mexico
Oh.
To New Mexico?
for camp.
That's a
Okay,
long
you
drive.
what type of camp can you disclose?
Church camp.
Oh, okay. All right, for sure. Y'all went on the church bus and stuff like that
We
too?
had 2 like Greyhound buses kind of situations.
Wow.
And we
That's
had to
awesome.
like stop every couple hours in the middle of the night to like change drivers. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
We've kind of said as a
7th
family, by the time RJ goes to college, you're going to try to take a trip as a family like that. Like, go from Nashville and hit the West Coast and stuff like that before he goes to school. That's our plans now, of course. Doing that is going to be a lot. Planning that is going to be a lot harder than actually doing it, I think, with both of them getting busy. Oh, man, we had one of those empty nest moments yesterday at the house. RJ has after-school practice now, and Miles is in the 6th grade and ended up making a basketball team,
Nice.
too. Shout out to Lil Savage, man. And he was gone till like 5 o'clock in the evening yesterday. And I was like, Kish was like, what's going on? I got to go pick up the boys. I'm like, what? We don't have to pick
We
them
don't
up
have
till
to pick 'em
5?
up. Oh, boy.
It blew my mind.
Nice.
So was that a good feeling or was it a just you didn't know what to do with
It
yourself?
was a lost feeling.
Yeah.
Because this is uncharted territory. All uncharted territory. So, the little one is growing up. RJ is too. It's weird, man. I'm going to be real.
It only will get quicker.
I
That's
can't
what
tell
my
you the
brother told me.
the heartbreak of not making my 6th grade basketball team was one of my was a seminal moment in the young life of William Lee Bowling.
No, it wasn't.
That happened for Michael Jordan, too.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking
Look at
that.
what Michael Jordan
I
did.
remember them telling us that in our 6th grade basketball tryouts. Like, guys, like for those of you who don't make it and don't see your name on the list later this week, Michael Jordan didn't make his team. They're like, and I would really recommend if you guys want to come back and try next year, we would love that. But you should try wrestling if you don't make it. Like, I don't think there's a weight class for how small I was at that point in my life. I was like 80 pounds. Probably less than
lightweight.
that, actually.
You could have done lightweight wrestling.
I could have.
You might have been
I
dominating.
could
at
have.
it.
I would have been snapped over someone's back like freaking Bane against Batman at the beginning of The Dark Knight Rises.
No,
But
you'd be wrestling other little stick bugs, too.
Stink bugs. Not stink bugs.
nobody
stink
wants
bugs.
to watch 2 praying mantises fight
Oh,
each other.
goodness.
I don't know. Those little wiry kids are the toughest
I know.
ones, man.
Well, I know,
you can
but
never
they
keep them
have-
down.
They have muscles. I did not at that point in my life.
You were a Ken doll? is what
No,
you-
I wasn't.
doll.
You have to actually be fit to be a Ken doll.
doll.
I was not just Ken. I'm just
Doesn't
Will.
Ken
We've
have a
established
six-pack?
this.
You know what sucks about that Jordan story that people don't continue to tell you? Jordan was only like, what was he, barely 6 foot? He grew
He
like
grew.
4 or 5 inches
I
after
did too.
that.
Yep.
Of course he was going to make the team the next
Yeah, I
year.
did.
Look at his older brother. That was Jordan when he didn't make the team. His younger brother, I think, is like 6'1" max. And he's telling everybody, like, he was way better than he was, but he just didn't grow the way Jordan did.
Well, all those guys that made the 6th grade basketball team, you know how many of them were SEC athletes?
Talk to him, Will.
Absolutely
There you go.
zero.
Talk to him.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in this morning.
They lied to us about that Jordan story, but I'm here to keep telling that story too. So
Yeah, well, there are a lot of inspirational stories that probably aren't totally true like that either.
Rudy's
Oh,
another
yeah.
one.
There's a
Rudy
little
is
bit of
another
fibbing
one.
in the Rudy story.
Absolutely.
Rudy's tough.
So, fraud versus Frio. Haven't done this in a minute. And there are a lot of options in college football. Let's start, though, in the NFL, where this is a little bit of a more difficult exercise. I have to preface this, guys. We have to be clear on something. Saying, like, Georgia's for real is not what this exercise is for. Like, we know Georgia is for real. Like, saying the Philadelphia Eagles, I think they're for real. Like, break this just in. Like, we know. So this exercise for those teams that are towards the top of the middle or the bottom of the middle, in our opinions. And that's obviously a different exercise in the NFL when there's 32 teams, in college where there's, over 100, obviously. But let's start with our frauds in the NFL. Who's a fraud? Who is not as good as their record shows?
not as good as their record shows. Let me go. I don't want to flip it up. I want to go not as good as we thought they were going to be, and this is where I'm at. Cincinnati.
Okay.
Cincinnati Bengals. And I put this in my notes. If Joe Burrow doesn't get right, this actually may be the knock on the air quotation marks franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is a one-off for him. I don't know how you want to put this in a box as far as the expectation for him. But he's rolling out there, whether he's healthy or not healthy, and not delivering on wins for this team. Their defense, they paid big money for that. Let guys go because they said they were going to be this good. Who was it, Bates, that they let go at safety? You also
Jesse Bates, yeah.
Yeah, yep. Jesse Bates. You also had them, I'm talking about, invest big time in their offensive line. You have the running back still. You have 3 solid wide receivers. A guy that had 50 fantasy points last weekend. And you still are on the season 2-3 with a franchise quarterback. I'm calling Cincinnati probably the most obvious at 2-3, not all the way out of it right now. Frauds, just simply because they have the highest paid quarterback in the league. Think about the highest paid quarterback in NFL history right now, and you can't muster up wins. Fraud, Cincinnati.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue with you there.
That one's tough just because they are 2-3, though. Like, I don't know how good people think they are.
The expectation of us going into the season.
Okay.
That's where reality's kind of stuck in a little bit. And that's why I was telling you last night, I think this one's going to be a little, gray.
Yeah, it is tough right now to pick that, especially in the NFL, frauds and for reals, I feel like. And I'm going to go with Dallas Cowboys because their record shows that they are right in the hunt. And you talk about expectations. I mean, they started the year like this is a squad. How many times have we heard this year after year with the Dallas Cowboys? It's like I'm being brainwashed by the national media that this is going to be a team that's going to compete for a Super Bowl. Y'all, they haven't made it out of the second round of the playoffs since like 1995. Like something's not happening or going in the right direction there with Mr. Jerry Jones at the helm. And you look at the whooping that they received by the 49ers, and maybe that woke us all up and said maybe they really aren't for real again this season. And I think a lot of the problem lies in the fact that do you want Dak Prescott to be the guy? Is he really the guy? It has not shown that he is the quarterback that they need to take him to the next level. I'm not going to put it all on Dak. Defensively, I feel like they have a pretty solid squad. They lost Diggs. I understand that. Mm-hmm. That hurts a bit on the back end of things. But you got Micah Parsons, dog. Yeah. You've got Mike McCarthy, who won a Super Bowl in Green Bay, however you want to put it, said that he's settled in at this point. And this Dallas Cowboys team still does the inconsistent thing that they do.
Yeah.
And it's the beginning of the season, guys. We're not even at the midway point. And they've been like up, down, up, down, up, down. I don't believe in the Dallas Cowboys, honestly, until I see it. I'm at that point where until I see them get over the hump, I'm not a believer.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Dallas was going to be my answer. I'll pivot to something else after Robert goes. But they're difficult also because they lost Trayvon Diggs, and now, how much of that factors into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stay in the same division. Guys, I think the Eagles are frauds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't think they have played anyone for us to crown them this NFC champion, or at least runner-up. I think someone could come and usurp them, and I'll get to for real in the next part. But they played the Patriots, who are terrible, and they beat them 25-20. They played the Vikings, who are a good team, but they just can't seem to figure it out this year. They played the Bucks, who I might get to them in a minute. They played the Commanders, who looked kind of hot to start the season off, and then they played the Rams, who I just don't understand why we're ready to crown these guys yet when they look like they've fallen off from their previous stature. I don't think the Eagles are as good as we say they are, so I'm going to say the Eagles are frauds.
Interesting.
Nice.
Wow, that's a hot take, but I like it.
Got to reach out there sometimes, risk it for the biscuit.
Risk it for the biscuit.
Fair enough. I am going to go Tampa for my fraud. 3-1 so far this season. I think Baker Mayfield is not going to be able to sustain the efficiency he's had to start the season. I also don't think they have really had an impressive win themselves at this point. They've got Detroit coming up. I think we learn against Detroit how much of a fraud or how for real Tampa is. And their loss this season was to the Eagles. And that one, 25-11, 2 weeks ago. They beat the Bears by 10. They beat the Saints. That one is their impressive win. And a 3-point win over the Vikings, which I don't think is as impressive as it may have appeared to be at the beginning. They've been fine on the road with 2 wins there, but I still don't think they are excellent. So give me Tampa.
Tampa
as my fraud. For real.
Yeah,
Who's for real?
It's probably going to be many of us that jump on this one, but San Francisco.
Okay, this is what we were talking about earlier, though. Like, that's not really a hot take. Like, this is like saying, like,
obvious.
Georgia's for real. Like, that's fair.
Yeah, it's too obvious. And here's the reason. They're beating teams bad in the run game and the passing game. You're watching them take teams out of it. You play San Francisco and you lose players the next week. You absolutely have seen them be able to run the ball, throw the ball, do it with a guy who's Mr. Teaspoon boy, Mr. Irrelevant, who's going to become one of the more relevant players in this entire league. This year, if there was ever a team to stake claim, as Bert put frauds on the Eagles, I can't see them not winning the Super Bowl at this point. That's why I got to give them the most obvious for real team it is when it comes down to it. And I know it's supposed to be a hot take, Will, but it ain't many teams I can just put over what they're actually doing as a squad. Even the 4-1 teams, the 3-2 teams, it just doesn't make any sense to not have San Francisco be that. Buffalo, I don't believe in right now. Miami, I need to see it.
Okay. San Francisco. Kayla?
This is not going to make people happy here in the AFC South.
Okay.
Ooh.
I'm starting to lean back towards Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's fair.
Being for real. I think that game in London last weekend, specifically after staying for 2 weeks there, really did something for them and can do something for them. And I still need to see maybe in the future what happens when a team stays over there 2 weeks compared to a team that comes in late, right? But regardless, they won the game against a really good Buffalo Bills team that just whooped up on some Miami Dolphins. And the Miami Dolphins, we've said time and time again, they've been in our, I think, top 7 all year for the most part.
Right.
They did a number on them. And so I start to look at Trevor Lawrence. It looks like he's always a little slow to get out of the gates. And you're starting to see that build a little bit. We forget they have Calvin Ridley now, right? And he's become kind of a weapon for them. Defensively, I feel like they're only going to get better. And now that you're hitting this time of the year and the AFC South competition is all over the place, because I still think it's wild what's going on in this division specifically, I just feel like the Jags are probably going to win the division at this point. And I know that's early to say, but I think I'm going more for real.
The only thing that worries me about Jacksonville is the offensive line.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not been good. So, interesting to see what they do next in a big division game for them coming up this weekend. Robert?
For real for me, and I hate to say it, I think the Steelers might be for real.
Really?
Ooh.
I think Matt Canada is holding this team back.
Ramon's face.
Something came out from the game. They had a camera like they do in the booth for every coordinator. And Matt Canada was shown when Kenny Pickett threw the go-ahead touchdown to Pickens. And everyone is in there celebrating. Everyone is having a great time. And then there's Matt Canada beside himself. He is so upset that something that he did not call worked, because the report is Kenny Pickett checked out of what he called to throw that man on the one-on-one on the outside. So if they can get rid of Matt Canada, the defense is good enough to carry them. They don't have their best interior lineman right now on either side of the ball. Cam Hayward's out. James Daniel, he might be back this week. And I just think offensively, if they could get it together, the defense is too good for them not to be in games. I think the Steelers could be for real.
I don't know. I feel like you're getting tricked because they played a really good game close at home in the division, which is what they always do as an underdog under Mike Tomlin.
I'm just trying to be sneaky here. Just trying to get in front of it. If they have to be good, then I can say, I told y'all they were good now.
I told you
told
so.
you they were good.
For me, the LA Rams.
Yeah.
I think the Rams are good.
Mm-hmm.
You go through their games, 2-3, but they beat a pretty good Seahawks team. They lost by a touchdown at home, but they don't really have home games because Their stadium gets infiltrated every single week that they play. So they lost by a TD in their stadium, we'll say, to the Niners. Field goal loss in prime time at Cincinnati. Overtime win over a Colts team that we now know isn't a total doormat. And a 9-point loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. You look at their schedule for the next 4 games. They get the Cardinals in L.A., the Steelers in L.A., they go to Dallas, and they go to Green Bay. I think in 4 weeks, the Rams are 6-3. And then they get Seattle again and then Arizona again. They could be 8-3. Winnable games for them. Cooper Kupp is healthy. Puka Nacua is back. They're figuring out that run game with some new faces, obviously shipping Cam Akers out to Minnesota. Matthew Stafford looks fine, looks good. It is easy to forget that team won the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Because they were that awful last year.
Yeah.
Right?
So, give me the Rams as my team that is underrated at this point. And again, that's one where, like, we could go with the Lions, but, like, everyone knows the Lions are good. Like, the exercise of this is who's underrated. I think the Rams are underrated. Tough schedule to start the year. What about in college football? We're going to have to go into the next segment with this one, too.
All right, frauds are for real first.
Fraud,
baby.
This one, Ohio State.
I knew you were going to go there.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
Close,
Stop it.
Yeah, no.
Just stop it.
Close
Stop.
games with Indiana, Notre Dame, Maryland, 4.5, 3/4 of the game also.
Ryan Day is going to shout you out after his game on
Bring
Saturday.
it. I love a good pen
Bring
stat. I love it, man. Not enough offensive power to beat Penn State, and they will lose to Michigan again, man. Ryan Day probably on the hot seat. That's just where I'm at with Michigan. On a fast. But the team I have for real, though, is on the other end of that.
Okay.
So for frauds for me, I'm going Pac-12. I'm going USC. Look, 6-0 to start the year. I get it. That offense is clicking. They've got Caleb Williams, who probably is going to win the Heisman Trophy at this point. Have you seen their defense? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. What defense?
Yeah.
This is a team that in the last just 2 games has given up over 40 points. They played Arizona last week. The last time I checked in the Pac-12, they're one of the bottom feeders of the Pac-12. And props to Arizona in terms of putting up a fight. But USC has been bleeding points. And Alex Grinch, their defensive coordinator, was brought in this last year. He's improved it by a bit. But then again, last year, they got worse defensively throughout the season. Who's to say that trend's not going to continue? Guess who they have up next? Notre Dame and Utah. Have fun, USC. You're going to have to learn to play defense this weekend. For me right now, they've got a lot to prove still and some bumpy waters to go on. So they're my frauds right now.
There you go. Robert, quickly.
Quickly, I will say I do not think the Tar Heels are the 12th best team in the country. I do not think that they are the 4th best team in the ACC. Carolina has had a really good draw this year. They had a good game against South Carolina early, but I don't think that offensive line is for real. I don't think when they play someone has a good front, they'll be able to make it work. I have not bought into the Drake May hype. 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the year. He's got a decent running game to back him up, but I cannot crown UNC the 2nd best team in the ACC.
Do you think they get a little more love because of Drake May too?
100%.
Yeah,
Anytime somebody's
so.
got a quarterback like
Yep.
that that's going to be a first-round pick, people are naturally gravitate towards them.
From USC to UNC. How about FSU?
Mm-hmm.
Florida State's a fraud to me.
Okay.
Their wins aren't – you go through their wins now. Their
Yeah. close
close win at Clemson. What's a Clemson? Their, win over LSU. Yeah, that's a team you should blow out with that defense. They didn't look good against Boston College. Saw a 21-point lead turn into a 2-point lead. 22-point lead against Georgia Tech turned into a 5-point lead. They can't run the football, guys. They're 123rd in rushing success rate. And at this point of the season, teams that are for real are balanced. And I'll explain why my for real team in a minute is one of the most balanced teams in college football, why I think they are legit. But at this point, they're giving up too many big plays on defense, and they are 123rd in rushing success rate. I think they're going to slip up to somebody who can just stop the pass. Florida State in the ACC. So give me the Noles. This is my team that is a bit of a fraud at this point. 615-737-1045 is the number. Who's for real in college football? We give you our contenders coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, man. I enjoy having a relationship with Hiller Plumbing, and simply because of this, man. They have a 100% satisfaction guarantee, and that means this. Happy you'll be or the service is free, okay? And the best thing about them, too, is they have professional experience, trustworthy technicians that come into your home and leave it better and cleaner than they found it. All techs are background checked and drug tested also. And Hiller cares about their homeowner, too, the homeowners that they service, the community, their partners, vendors, employees, anything you can think of. Caring is a major theme for the business, and they make sure they're never leaving someone stranded or in need. True transparency pricing also. They have no hidden fees, no added costs, no surprises when you get your bill. Everything is itemized and explained up front so you know what you're paying for and why. And they will only suggest repairs or replacements to the customers that actually need it. Just like me, I needed something extra done on my house, and the technician that came to me was like, no, you honestly don't need to pay for this. And he gave me the instructions on how to fix it myself. That's the type of company that Hiller is, okay? If you have anything that needs to be fixed around your house, whether that be plumbing, heating, cooling, or electrical, reach out to the folks I know at happyhiller.com.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast. 8th and Roast, locally owned, operated by lifelong friends turned business partners who designed the local shops as a way to feel welcomed, connected, and part of a community. Stop by and see them on 8th Avenue, Charlotte, or the airport. We'll grab your favorite bag of 8th and Roast coffee at your local Kroger or Whole Foods as well. 615-737-1045 is our number. We've given you our college football frauds this season. Who's for real, Ramon Foster?
My for real team, man, I think has a real shot this year, man. And listen to the stats. It's got to be Michigan. And no, it's not a hot take, but it's the most obvious one to me, man.
That's
They're
fair.
beating teams by an average of 26.6 points. And that's also, they hadn't played Penn State or Ohio State yet. But here's the thing. Their quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, is completing 77.6% of his completions. While having 3 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, he's also contributing on the ground, averaging 6.7 a carry with 3 touchdowns on the ground, too. Blake Corum, 6 yards per carry with 10 touchdowns. They have 2 senior wide receivers, man, that are just crushing it. Roman Wilson and also Cornelius Johnson. Offensive line is always a specialty of theirs. They are spreading the ball around big time. I actually do think this year they can compete with an SEC team if it is Georgia for the national championship, which is why I also put Ohio State as a fraud this year because I feel like I don't know if Ohio State has enough to beat Michigan to compete. For real, Michigan. And that's probably weird with what the SEC has done so far.
All right. Kayla?
So if you're going to go in that direction, I definitely want to go in the direction that I stuck with at the beginning of the season when I had picked the Washington Huskies to be a playoff contender. And I think everybody was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
They have proven up to this point, and look, they're going to have a huge test this weekend with Oregon. I mean, that's going to be the test for me to see where this season really goes. But at this point, and I do have them winning that game, I feel like this is a team that offensively is just playing so efficient, right? And you've got Michael Penix Jr. What I appreciate about this guy is Indiana transfer, right? Comes in last year. You see the potential in him, but you're like, what's going to happen? Is he going to take that next step? He has taken that next step forward this year. And when you look at the team overall, I think they're going to just continue to get better in what is a really good conference this year that will give them, I think, the ability to be a college football playoff team and compete with some of those top teams as well, just because of the schedule that they'll go through. I was a little weary in the beginning of picking them as a college football final team, but this is now proving, now that I've seen them, week in and week out, that they really could be that team.
So I'm going to hop the line and go next because mine is Oregon.
Okay.
And I think Oregon wins this weekend. And I think Oregon is the team that there are a lot of honorary SEC teams around college football. We've talked about that with Clemson. Michigan has kind of become almost an honorary SEC team, the way that they play, right? Yeah. With their style of bully ball, running the football, playing good defense. I think Dan Lanning is on his way to creating Oregon as the type of almost honorary SEC power. He came from Georgia. He's got as many recruiting resources up there with Nike and with the Oregon machine as most SEC teams do, to be honest with you. I like Oregon because I think they're the most balanced team of these options. Mm-hmm. And they don't have a glaring weakness. You look at their defense, they're 8th in points per drive, 17th in success rate allowed, according to the analytics. I think they're able to beat Washington this weekend because they can run the football against the Washington defense that is giving up at least 4 yards on 51% of carries on the ground this season. That's 107th in college football. They're making a stop at or behind the line of scrimmage on 14% of runs, Washington defensively, which is 117th in college football. Oregon gains at least 4 yards on 63% of their rushes. That's number 1 in college football. And they've got a Nashville native doing it in Oakland High School's Jordan James.
Wow.
Who was at one time a Georgia commitment, flipped to Oregon last minute to go with Dan Lanning. Again, we talk about honorary SEC teams. That's a guy that, for all of his recruitment, was going to be an SEC running back and then decided to be an Oregon running back. I just think their balance is going to stand the test of time better than anybody. And Bo Nix is good.
Yeah,
I hate admitting it.
People weren't saying that a few years ago.
No, they were not.
He earned it. He's out of Murfreesboro, right? The running back?
Yeah, Oakland High School.
Oakland High School. I thought so.
Look at those Southern boys going to the Northwest.
Man.
Enjoy it, y'all.
Good for him.
Robert?
I think God, this is so crazy. I'm over here looking at Louisville's schedule. I think Louisville is for real.
Okay.
But something that's crazy to me that might make me put them in the fraud category, they play 3 road games all year. They are at home
Wow.
the rest of the time. So they have a chance to prove against the other team that I was going to put in here, Duke, in 2 weeks at home. I thought either one of them can be for real, but we're going to figure out which one of them it is. I like the way Louisville played Notre Dame. They played Notre Dame better than Ohio State did. They went into Carter Finley against NC State, and it was a close game, but that is a crazy place to play as their only road game of the year. Well, how do you only get 3 road games? How the hell does that happen?
I ain't got a clue.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Does that happen a lot?
That's
I mean, if you pick all
weird.
4 of your non-conference to be at home, then yeah.
That's tough. Well, I've got Louisville. I think they're
There you
for
go.
real. They're great schedule planners.
615-737-1045. Coming up, we have the price of a fringe wide receiver in the NFL. In case the Titans want to look at that. In the F&M Bank chat, TJ says, OMG, Oakland is a Murfreesboro school. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Correct.
I've been there many a time.
Yeah.
That's what we said.
Yep.
Anyway.
Anyway.
We have the price of a fringe wide receiver in the NFL coming up next for you.
It's Kayla Anderson for the Wang Vision Institute. I woke up this morning, actually, my eyes were red. I have allergies here in Middle Tennessee, along with probably so many other people. And just about a month ago, I went into the Wang Vision Institute because I just wanted to see really what was going on with my eye health. It's something I think a lot of us put off and probably shouldn't. I'll tell you, they treat you like your family there. They pretty much put me through the whole process of checking out my eye health, and luckily most everything was good. And even if it wasn't, they're making sure to put you on the right path. Maybe it's, deciding to get a type of surgery like LASIK, or just giving you a prescription to help you kind of get through those months till you get to that point. Or maybe your vision's perfect and you just needed to be reassured. They also do a lot with the skin now, the skincare side of things. Intense pulse light treatments, that's what they offer now. A photofacial treatment. It rejuvenates the skin. Maybe you've had, sunspots, dark spots because of the years in the sun. This is something that will even out your skin tone, texture as well. I've had it done. It's excellent. It is really non-invasive. You're in, you're out within 30 minutes. You can always go online to find out more at thewangvisioninstitute.com. And they also do consultations, free online vision seminars every Tuesday at 6:45. You can RSVP and schedule your free consultation and treatment today. Go ahead and log on to wangvisioninstitute.com. Make sure to take care of those eyes, and your skin will thank you as well for the long-lasting results.
What's going on? 7:03. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Nashville Predators kicked off their 25th anniversary season last night against the Tampa Bay Lightning, but fell short. 5-3 was the score. Close game. Preds gave up an open goal net late, but that put the game out of reach. Grizzlies were also in preseason action last night, putting the Bucks away 108-102. Newly acquired Jay Crowder led the Grizz in scoring with 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. And the trade in the NFL yesterday, LA sends wide receiver Van Jefferson and a 2025 7th-round pick to Atlanta in exchange for a 2025 6th. Atlanta's hoping that Van Jefferson can recapture his 2019 mojo where he had 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Seven a.m. in Nashville. Welcome in to RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast, right here on 104.5 The Zone. 8th and Roast Coffee cultivates community by the cup. You can find your favorite retail bag at every local Kroger and Whole Foods as well. We highly recommend that you do. Find that light blue bag, the light blue logo, the 8th and R Coffee Co. logo. And I promise you, you're going to be caffeinated and you're going to be refreshed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we always feel every weekday morning with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer. My name is Will Bowling. Brian Rice joins us in 15 minutes. Always looking forward to adding some spicy rice into our breakfast.
I texted him yesterday about coming on and everything, and the times didn't match on the first request. I was like, well, hey,
Right.
what about this time? He's like, perfect.
Yeah, that was on me.
He was like, I'll be sure to have some spicy. I
There
was
we
just
go.
like,
Outstanding.
well, you guys know that they've been missed on the show, and they feel like they got to come say, hey, don't forget about me. Those are the best guests right there, y'all. Those are the best.
Big one for Tennessee against the fighting Texas Aggies this upcoming weekend.
Yes.
We will have to play an out-of-context midnight yell tomorrow in preparation for Tennessee and Texas A&M.
I haven't seen their cringy little meat videos pop up anymore.
Oh, I
Remember-
literally just was watching one of
That's-
my
yeah.
Really?
Oh, it literally just popped
Oh, you
up.
got to send it to me.
Oh,
I
yeah,
missed
well.
those.
I got you.
Cringy little videos.
Yeah.
Oh, me, oh, my.
Well, last year they got in trouble for them,
Yeah,
right?
they
Like they put their foot in their mouth a couple times.
What?
Did they really?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't they?
I feel like I remember the article.
There was controversy last year.
Oh, they were talking about Appalachian State. Remember, they
Yeah.
were like,
Oh.
"What even is an or an Appalachian State?" And then App went to Texas A&M and beat them.
Yep.
I think they did it again against another team, and then they put their foot in their mouth again.
Sure
Controversy
did.
last year.
Outstanding.
I gotta love it.
That did happen for them. Yeah. Wow.
Well, in the NFL, we have a clearer picture of what a replacement level wide receiver might cost. Nashville native is on the move. Ravenwood High School's own Van Jefferson is headed to the Atlanta Falcons. As part of the deal, the Falcons sent a 2025 6th-round pick to the Rams for a 7th-round pick in the same year. For those who were tweeting at me and asking me yesterday when I mentioned that I think McCole Hardman would be someone I would love to have as a Tennessee Titan, people are like, well, with what draft capital? We should save it. Guys, all it's going to cost is a future 6th swapped for a 7th, probably, because when reports are surfacing that teams are exploring trade options, it means that if they don't find a trade option within the week, they're just going to be released.
Do the voice again. What?
Who's with what draft capital? Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
What?
708.
Thank you.
Bird. That was good.
Had that for Christmas season coming in. Many would say Christmas season already started, but who's to say?
Yeah, our stat division also told us yesterday, is manned by Bert Hawkinson, said that the Titans have 3 7th-round draft picks next year as far as mortgage.
3 7th-round picks. I don't believe they have a 5th or a 6th. The 5th is gone in the Dennis Daly deal, and the 6th is gone from the Ugo Amadi deal.
Don't like that. Don't like that at all.
Returning what you thought it was going to be.
When you use those picks for Racy McMath and Cole McDonald, who cares?
Yeah. That's going to be tough sledding right there. But this team could definitely use it down the stretch.
Well, now they got Rand Carthon. They don't have John Robinson.
That's very true, too. And that's part of the reason we're in there. I don't want to overly blame, J. Rob.
I'm starting to blame them.
You starting to blame them all the time. Well,
John's strength was day 2 and 3. Give him that.
That's terrible.
Kevin Byard.
KB, yeah. You got to get
Johnny Smith.
Found Tierra Tart.
Yeah.
He's been steady. There's
He's
been a
had
few
some.
guys.
Yeah,
Brewer
he's had
has
some.
kind of made his way here too. I'm really hoping for him. He does get that deal. Brew, as far as I'm going, I hope Brew get the deal, man. He's been holding it down. But I think an extra wide receiver would be worth it, especially if we don't know what we're going to get out of the guys that are behind Traylon. Like, that's the thing behind it. Again, NWI has been good.
Traylon's got to stay healthy, Ramon.
And that's where we're at right there. You
Yeah.
can never have enough bodies. It's a matter of what you're willing to do to get those type of guys. But going overseas this weekend, if there's any business to be had, definitely got to have it before the trade deadline. And if anything's going to happen, it's on the bye week.
Which is rapidly approaching, by the way. The trade deadline's at the end of the month.
I thought so.
So they got the bye, and any trade, I think it's 2 days before the Atlanta game, the trade deadline is.
2 days before that.
So if a
Okay.
trade was going to happen, it would be before they play Atlanta.
Okay.
What
Good
other
time.
place would he be able to be a fit, do you think, McCole Hardman?
McCole Hardman?
Yeah.
You can take speed anywhere.
Because I feel like he would be a good asset here.
Yeah, I mean, and truthfully, that's the only place I would look right now as far as like needs and necessity.
Yeah.
Especially, again, you can't have enough weapons. And I think it was you, Will, that kind of said to us, I think it was you, one of you guys said it. But other than the first game, you said it on Monday after this last game. Other than the first game, if we're asking Tannehill to be a manager, deliver the ball the way you need him to, and not be a detriment to this team, the 2 picks that he had, I think the one at the end of the Charger games, heck, that was good as a punt, essentially. And the one last week was just like, golly, love to have that back, but the game was pretty much sold up at that point. If you're saying Tannehill needs weapons, then apply yourself and give him weapons if that's the case. Healthy weapons, too. So I get it. Tannehill hasn't been the reason, except for game 1, you lost by 1 point, that this team has lost in bad fashion. It's been other reasons, whether the O-line can't hold it down or the D-line can't hold it down or the defense in general, which they were rubbed to a nub last weekend. So we'll see what the return on that is coming out of it. But I like the idea of giving the quarterback as much help as you possibly can.
Yeah, especially with the health history of this team.
Yes, and if this ain't a rebuild, a restructure, whatever R words you want to use, and this team is looking to compete against the likes of Jacksonville, and now the Colts who got one up on you, maximize yourself.
Yeah, it's just one of those where if you can pick up somebody like that for just a pick swap, you're not losing any capital. You're just changing where it's being, where it's selected. McCole Hardman, a guy with over 500 yards in each of his first 3 seasons in the NFL, 2019 through 2021. He's one that I also vividly remember his recruitment. Vividly remember, like, oh, Tennessee's got McCole Hardman coming in this weekend. Like, big deal. When he was between Georgia and Tennessee. Last year was not great. Not available for the whole season. 25 catches, only 297 yards.
Does have value as a returner as well. He can return punts
that's not a
and
bad
kick
thing.
returns.
Van Jefferson, another guy I would have loved here. Over 800 yards in the Super Bowl season for the Rams, but has been Puka Nakua'd.
He had that health stuff, too. He had to get through to get back, too. I think
And
that
Tutu Atwell. Like, where the heck?
him too.
And I've been thinking about this for a while, guys. If my name was Tutu, I would wear number 22.
Jordan Tutu did here.
What that's what I'm saying. What are you going to
For
do?
the
Come
Preds.
on, man. If your name's Tutu Atwell, you got to go get 22.
Yeah.
What do you got to do?
oh, yeah.
Jordan Tutu wore number 22 for the Preds, and then they would give out train whistles. And every time he would come on, people would blow their train whistles, be like, toot, toot.
He
It's
was
Tutu.
a trip, man. Jordan Tutu.
Toot, toot. Anyway. Yeah, he's kind of dead to me, though, after he went to Chicago and then said, I'm glad to be on the right side of this now. And then the Preds swept him out of the playoffs. Coming up, Brian Rice joins us, Sports Radio WNML host, and always spicy with us. The Tennessee Vols are honoring my favorite Tennessee volunteer of all time this upcoming weekend. Sorry, Ramon. Sorry, Slay. We'll talk about that with Brian. Preview Vols and Aggies coming up next. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling here from my friends at League Company. Is your water heater not heating? Well, as it's getting cooler overnight, maybe you've learned that in the past week, maybe the past 48 hours, and maybe you got another issue, right? Maybe your sink is leaking, the drain is clogged. Well, available 24/7, 365. Our expert friends at League Company, they've got you covered for all of your plumbing needs. And right now, you can enjoy $20 off on a plumbing service call for a limited time. This is your sign to go ahead and get this stuff done, right? You got a great deal from League Company. They're experts. They're open 24/7, 365. All you got to do is call them. 615-567-1000 or go to leaguecompany.com for an appointment. Take care of your home's plumbing from top to bottom. Again, that's $20 off your next plumbing service call at League Company. I trust these guys because they've got nearly 80 years of experience. They've been around since 1944. You've been doing it for that long. You find a way to do things the right way. They got over 1,600 employees, and League Company is the trusted provider to help you with all you need for your home. 615-567-1000. That's the number to call. Online at leaguecompany.com. That's League Company. All you need. RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast right here on 104.5 The Zone. Full crews here, present and accounted for. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. And joining us on the phone lines this morning, he is the one and only Bryan Rice. You can hear him on the radio in Knoxville on our sister station, the Sports Animal 99.1. What's up, Bryan? How are you?
I figured you guys would all be talking with fake British accents this week with the Titans ready for London, but hey, maybe next week after on the downside of that.
You just missed. We did that to lead. Oh, I did that. I won't. Well, Ramon and I did that to lead the show. It went about as poorly as you might expect, Bryan.
Well, my co-host and Ramon's former quarterback there does a Scottish accent about once a month. It's Eric McAnge. I think it is related to some of the times that the line may have let somebody get through and hit him in the head. But it is pretty entertaining when it happens.
It must have happened
Ramon's
in New York,
face
New
just
Jersey then, Bryce. That didn't happen in Knoxville often,
No,
man.
in 2007, ain't it?
What? Who holds the record still, if I'm not mistaken? Okay.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fewest quarterback hits, fewest sacks.
Look at
allowed.
that.
Tell him, don't let New York get him messed up out here, okay? He will need
Should have seen his face,
He's
Bryan.
going to get scotch tape at the end of this if he keep up, be right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's fun, though.
You tell him see me, okay?
Oh,
How
my
about that?
goodness.
How about that?
I will do that.
Yeah. We'll wrestle a little bit.
Well, Bryan, it seems like a good weekend to maybe install a D. Williams Wildcat package because Ramon's senior year that we all try to forget about, including Ramon, Eric Berry was doing that for the Tennessee Volunteers at the end of the Philip Fulmer era. He will be honored in Knoxville this weekend. Before we get into the matchup with A&M, has there ever been another Eric Berry? I know, obviously, the Berry twins have come through Tennessee, so maybe a little bit. But the guy is still, Bryan, forever probably my favorite Vol that I just loved watching play the game of football.
He was dynamic in so many ways on the field, and especially at his time at Tennessee. But then you talk about he goes to the NFL. He fights cancer. He fights 2 major injuries and still continued to play at a high level. And then, he walked away still at the height of his game. I think what impresses you about Eric Berry and what he did for so many years was how humble he was in doing it. He was the best player on the field, and he would never tell you about it. And I think there's something to be said for that in today's world of self-promotion and things like that, and you have to in an NIL environment now, but I think the way Eric Berry carried himself was part of the mystique of him. He was going to deliver the hit. He was a dynamic returner. He was going to go for the pick. And then he was going to walk off the field and celebrate with his teammates, and that would be it. But, we mentioned Ainge a few minutes ago. He said, the thing about Eric Berry was from the day he stepped on campus, he was different. And you knew he was different. And you weren't going to throw his way on the practice field because it was going to go the other way.
Yeah, and that's him. What was your best moment? Mine was the Noshawn Marino hit. What was yours? Because you had him an extra year after I was done in 2009, and he went top 5 in the league, top 6 in the draft, I think, number 6.
Yeah, I think that hit is so iconic, but it came in a loss. It's one of those things where you remember how awesome the hit was. Another moment that came in a loss was his interception and return at Florida in 2007. That's one of those game changers, and one of those first moments that he established himself and said, I am that guy. Back before we called people that guy, he established himself there with that moment. And then just the leadership he showed in 2009. You had a coaching change, and that can be difficult for some players to buy into, particularly when you have the longtime connection to Philip Fulmer like he did and his family did. But, he was ready to truly give his all to Tennessee and help usher in a new era at Tennessee. And, of course, it only ended up being a one-year era. But he made that season about the program and about taking it to the next level and was selfless throughout that year. And I'll always appreciate the leadership he showed at a time it would have been really easy for someone. I mean, in today's world, you're talking about people hitting the transfer portal, and that wasn't really the same option back then. But he established himself as a leader and said, we are going to do this together, and was able to spark a turnaround that season.
B. Rice, moving forward to this week against A&M, man. Can this offense move the ball on this A&M defense, who has had one of the best, if not the best, recruiting class in the history of college football recruiting?
I think that's the real question, and how can Tennessee do it maybe differently than they want to? I go back to the Alabama game last year. You knew you weren't going to run the ball real effectively against that front for Alabama, but you had to commit to it just enough that it opened up the passing game. What can Tennessee do this week to set up the pass, or does it have to pass to set up the run a little bit? That's not really a position that Josh Heupel offenses are comfortable in, but you will always have to run the ball just enough that they respect it. Can you do that? I think Tennessee's three-headed monster at running back can do that. I think the offensive line with Cooper Mays back gives you a better opportunity than it would have 2 weeks ago. Cooper Mays getting back in for that South Carolina game made a big difference in the rushing game. It made a big difference in pass protection. But I think most of all it made a difference in the tempo and the confidence that the offense had. He's now had an extra week to get healthy, to get over what I'm sure was some terrible soreness after playing every snap of that game in his first game back. Can you run the ball well enough that they respect the pass? And when those deep shots are open, can Joe Milton hit the receivers, and can the receivers haul it in? You know, we've had some receivers that have had some key drops at times. You've also had some balls put in tough spots by Joe Milton. So everybody's going to have to click to open things up against Texas A&M. Can they do it? Yes. Will they do it? I think that's going to be the question that you're going to be worried about from now until kickoff on Saturday.
Bryan Rice joining us now on RKW. And Bryan, speaking of receivers, how much do you kind of put on Squirrel White now in terms of taking it to the next level? You know, Brew McCoy now out for the rest of the season. Do we maybe put too many expectations on him, or is this really where he should be at this point?
Well, I think the question with Squirrel White is how much of his game can he expand? Is he just a slot guy because of his size and speed, or can he get to the outside? Can he play some of those positions effectively? I think he's a guy that you're going to rely on to do what he does. I think it's on everybody else to step up and carry that load. Certainly he's going to have some of the load from Brew McCoy because you're going to have to moneyball this thing. No player on that roster is replacing Brew McCoy. How do you get that production? Dante Thornton's going to have to step up. He's a guy who's worked mainly in the slot since arriving from Oregon. He's going to have to play on the outside some. And he has repped there in practice. I don't know what it looks like. I don't think anybody outside of the facility does. So that's going to be a question. How quickly can some of the young guys come along? Because Josh Heupel said in his weekly press conference on Monday that they are going to rely on a couple of new faces, including Caleb Webb, who are going to be out there on the perimeter. And then I think it's on Ramel Keaton on the other side to step up and perform at a high level as well. So I think you can ask Squirrel White to do a little bit more, but matchup-wise, what does his size limit him and limit his ability to do? I think it's a question. I never have any doubt in this offense's ability to scheme guys open.
Sure.
But how do you use the whole offense together? I think it's going to be a question for Squirrel White, and it's going to be a question for those other receivers and the tight ends while we're talking about pass catchers.
We talk about so many times home field advantage and what it can do for a team, and I really do think it can play a big part, especially when it comes to setting the tone in a game and maybe the other team coming out of the gates and not being able to do that. Texas A&M has been awful on the road. You come into an environment like this on Saturday, the checkerboard, everything that's going on in Neyland Stadium. Is that an advantage? Is that a real advantage for the Vols this weekend?
I think it absolutely is. I mean, I think they're separate issues. One, Texas A&M's not been great on the road. Number two, Neyland Stadium is a great environment. And number three, I don't think it's ever been harder to play on the road in college football than it is right now.
Wow.
I think you're seeing more teams play closer games at home against heavily favored opponents. I think that's something that you saw last week with Alabama and Texas A&M. Alabama's offense has struggled to put up numbers at times this year, but I also think you look at 108,000 at Kyle Field, and that absolutely made an impact on that game. South Carolina was expecting a hostile environment on Saturday last Saturday when they came to Neyland Stadium, and they got one, and they weren't able to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ryan McGee from ESPN was on our station yesterday with Josh and Swain and said, every game now is like the biggest games back in the day. You used to not see decibel records set against South Carolina for Tennessee, and now you're right up there because fans understand what kind of impact they can have on the game at a time where the margin overall has never been thinner between great teams, good teams, and just okay teams. 15 years ago, South Carolina would come in and maybe they'd play with you for a half. Maybe they'd knock you, if you didn't have your full attention out there, maybe they'd push you to overtime like they did in 2003 or something like that. But teams on those levels didn't succeed at a high level against the best. Well, now we were doing our SEC power rankings on our show yesterday, and it's Georgia, and then it's a conglomeration of Tennessee, Alabama, 3 or 4 other teams that could win any game they play. And then it's a long way down to Mississippi State, Vanderbilt that you aren't super worried about, but could still beat you if you don't command their full attention. So I think home field advantage is a huge, huge part of that. And going on the road stuff. Look at Kentucky and Georgia last week. Kentucky felt like they had a great chance to knock off Georgia. And Georgia, from a talent standpoint and then an environment standpoint, let them know very early that no, you didn't have an opportunity to come down there and do anything.
Bryan Wright, Sports Radio WNML, our guest. And Bryan, I think it's an interesting discussion about it being harder to play on the road in college football than ever, because for all the people that want to say this is the death of college football as we know it, you forget that the next iteration of college football in a lot of ways will be better than what college football has been for the past generation. What do you credit that to specifically? Is it conference realignment just making every game more important in the future in conference play, and that kind of starting now? Is it NIL kind of allowing more teams to have more talented players? The fact that South Carolina, I know they haven't used him yet, even has a 5-star at all in Nicholas Harbor, their tight end who's run like a 10-3 100-meter dash. Like, that was not happening 10, 15 years ago either.
No, you have NIL has spread it out a little bit. Look, top players are still not going to go somewhere where they can't get to the NFL.
Right.
Every kid that goes to a major program is looking towards getting to the NFL. So I think that's an important part of it, because I saw somebody yesterday say, well, NIL is the most important thing. No, the most important thing is still, can you get to the league? Because, I look at Nico Iamaleava. Let's just throw him out as an example for a second. Okay. He's not going to Kentucky because he would not feel like he could be a first-round draft pick out of Kentucky. No matter how much Mark Stoops begs his fans to contribute to NIL, the difference between a first-round quarterback and a third-round quarterback is way more than Nico's alleged NIL deal is. So let's start there. It's coaching first. So you have to have a guy in place like a Josh Heupel who can get guys to the league. What Tennessee's rookies are doing in the NFL is going to help recruiting as much as anything. But I do think NIL has made it easier for somebody to say, yeah, I can be a first-round pick at South Carolina if all these guys come with me, if Spencer Rattler's throwing me the football, if all of that is in place. I think the other thing is NIL and the transfer portal have made it easier for players who would have been buried on depth charts to prove what they can do. It's also made the top teams thinner. Alabama's top 22 is as good as it's ever been. Georgia's top 22 is as good as it's ever been. What about the next 22? I think a lot of the guys who would have been third-year sophomores or third-year juniors, fourth-year juniors at one of those places are now starting for somebody else. And that's made the game better because you're having those players play a big role for longer in college. And it's spread out the talent. It's made the games more competitive. It stinks if somebody gets hurt at one of those top-level schools, because I think the other thing you've seen at the same time is all of those schools are much more susceptible to having their season derailed by a major injury because they don't have the same quality backup that Nick Saban or Kirby Smart or Ryan Day had 5 years ago.
It is interesting, too, saying that, because we talk about Brew McCoy going out. Jimmy Holiday and Jimmy Callaway are on other teams now, right? We talk about that with Tennessee just to the wide receiver position, where Tennessee plays 3 receivers a game.
Yep.
It gets a lot harder to develop that depth, right? Caleb Webb, Chaz Nimrod are the 2 guys we've talked about replacing Brew McCoy, but Do you see that being a little bit of an issue for Tennessee moving forward? Just the fact that it's always going to be hard to have a lot of depth at wide receiver when the nature of the offense is you can't sub guys in the middle of drives because then the defense is going to get to sub DBs in there too.
I think the biggest thing that it hurts Tennessee's offense is the guy you mentioned earlier, D. Williams. Would a different offense have a package of 10 plays for him? Absolutely they would. But if D. Williams goes and gets you a first down to start the drive, he's got to figure out how to block on pass routes the rest of the drive. He's got to figure out, how can we use him in other ways? If a defense matches up well the first play with him and it goes for no gain, you're not going to run him out of the ball game. And I think that's where it has the biggest impact on Tennessee's offense. But yeah, I mean, how are you going to keep 5 wide receivers happy? You're not. How are you going to keep 5 wide receivers plus 3 tight ends happy? You're definitely not. And you mentioned it, 2 guys that would be playing for Brew McCoy right now are starting and have been starting since the beginning of the season for other teams. I think that makes it more difficult. But I don't think it's a unique to Tennessee problem. Tennessee's been able to keep 3 running backs mostly happy this season and keep them engaged in the game. Now, if all 3 of them were underclassmen, one of them is going somewhere next year. They're not. Jabari Small's out of eligibility after this year. But though, even in those situations, coaches they're not worried about it. Because I think any coach that's worried about the long-term impact on is somebody going to transfer or somebody going to stay in has already lost. Yeah. You've got to go win football games. But I do think this is one of those issues where you have a receiver or 2 go down. You better hope that you brought along some freshmen because that's your backup rather than a sophomore or a junior.
Bryan, quickly on the way out, can you please tell me the Braves are going to win today?
If you had told me, it's Braves postseason nerves, right? I mean, it's all those straight division championships and one World Series during the '90s. It has me worried. I think that was a major turning point the other night, though. The way that game ended against the Phillies, not just the final play, that's whatever, but the Darno home run to pull it within 1 when you look dead in the water. Then the go-ahead home run from Austin Riley. You need a good starting pitching performance. The Phillies can't score early today and in Game 4. They just can't. Because then you start in the here we go again. The Philly fans are going to get in it. My favorite part about that whole thing, though, is Philly fans on Twitter trying to give Braves fans a lesson in class.
Right.
Excuse me? What are we doing?
Well, and Bryan, they act like I saw a column the other day from one of our friends of the show who said, Philly fans are different because these are football fans at a baseball stadium. Did they forget these are just SEC fans also in the South?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing, man?
The Braves have a stadium made up of Georgia fans who are grown men who bark at people, Alabama fans whose sense of entitlement is off the charts, and Tennessee fans who are just absolutely insane all the time. Like that's the Braves fan base. That's why it's the best fan base in baseball because it's made up of nothing but crazy people, and I'm one of them, and you're one of them.
That's right.
It's what we do.
I love it. Bryan Rice bringing the gospel to the people this morning. You can hear Sports Radio WNML and the Vol Network. Bryan, thank you as always. Good stuff.
Thanks, y'all. Enjoy speaking with the British accent next week. It'll be fun, I promise.
Well, enjoy your Scottish accent on the European show coming up in a few minutes.
Tell him see me too, man.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, there's Bryan Rice with us here at the top of the morning. Coming up, let's get into the London travel stuff. A lot has been made about the Titans going there later than the Ravens. Yeah. Ramon has played this game back in 2013 against the Minnesota Vikings. We'll get his thoughts on the toughest part about going to London and acclimating to British time. The Titans take on the bloody Ravens. That's next.
Hey! Reg Ramon Foster for Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Scoreboard's Opryland's all-you-can-eat low country bowls have been extended through October. Yeah, y'all. Crab, shrimp, booze, music, and football. If it's a Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday night, both scoreboards will have all the games, food, and music you want. Now, you can hit up 2 locations, one on Old Hickory Lake and one across from the Grand Ole Opry. I just told you about that one. Both running the area's only all-you-can-eat low country bowls from noon to 5. So get out and enjoy the best weather and time of the year at either Scoreboard. Scoreboard is the only place that has something for everyone. So come and see Scoreboard. Opryland was just voted the #1 sports bar in Nashville. The Low Country Boys, football, bushwhackers, and home to Nashville's Yacht Rock and Spasmatics. Be sure to join 3HL also this Friday from 3 to 6 as they broadcast live from the original Scoreboard Opryland location. And listen up, y'all. They'll have great giveaways, including a pair of UT versus UConn tickets and all drinks. Listen to me, a 2-for-1 from 3 to 6 with 3HL. Want to try your hand also at beating Brent and Slay's pick? Go by between 3 and 6 to fill out your sheet, and maybe you'll win from Ekibop, the $250 prize pack. Remember, if it's football time, it's scoreboard time. Scoreboard.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson, joined now by certified arborist Dean Glasscock with Arbor Art Tree and Shrub, a Save a Tree company. Dean, we're getting to the cooler temperatures now, winter right around the corner. What can you tell me about people and what they need to look out for their trees around their home?
Yeah, hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We're halfway there towards the weekend and some more football. In the meantime, if you've got trees and shrubs around your home, we want to talk to you. You can pick up the phone, call us, 615-299-9999. I've been serving everybody on the zone for a long time now. I really appreciate that, 29 years. Arbor Art Tree Care and Save a Tree have teamed up. So here's the deal. If you need work on your trees and shrubs, we can certainly help you with that. Certified arborists, from doing plant health care to pruning maintenance to big takedowns. We can do it all. We also plant trees. So don't forget that. We're just a full-service tree care company and shrubs. So, again, 615-299-9999 for all your tree care needs. I hope you all have a great one. And remember, we're hiring some CDL drivers right now, too. So if you're looking for work, no matter what it is you do, give us a call, 615-299-9999. Have a good one.
Dean Glasscock and his crew, about as solid as you can get. You heard it, 29 years of experience. Arbor Art Tree and Shrub now teaming up with Save a Tree for exceptional service every time. Make sure to call them, 299-9999.
Coming up in just about 10 minutes, we'll go to the player's perspective on what it's like to go across the pond and play on the pitch. Ramon Foster did it in 2013 against the Minnesota Vikings when he was a Pittsburgh Steeler, a 34-27 losing effort on that day. But we're going to make Ramon relive that and tell us the hardest part about going to London and how much time you need to acclimate. Much has been made about this, guys, about the adjustment and lack of sleep that you get on the way there. We've got a former NFL player in the room, so our perspective is a different one. And Mike Vrabel did mention a couple of the things they will do in his press conference the other day in order to make this transition a smooth one. We'll get into that coming up at 8 o'clock. Scout meeting Wednesday as well at 8:20. But guys, one day into a new season, I'm already tired of one player in the National Hockey League.
I'm going to argue with you on
Already
this
know
one.
Listen
who
to
it
this
is.
yesterday. Pittsburgh Penguins and Chicago Blackhawks. This was the ref before he dropped the puck for Blackhawks Penguins.
Hey, Sid, welcome back for another season. Connor, welcome to the NHL, man. Thank you. Okay, guys, it's showtime. Let's have a great game.
Yep.
That I'm already annoyed of Connor Bedard.
Ooh,
I'm tired
I'm
of
going to
it.
argue with you on this one.
Go for it.
First and foremost, the National Hockey League is continuing to try to build its brand.
Okay.
So anytime that you have a once-in-a-lifetime player like Connor Bedard, and let me tell you something. I've watched a lot of Connor Bedard. I watched him last night in his debut. This guy is special. He is what Sidney Crosby was when Sidney Crosby entered the league. That is the next phenom. It's not just a thing. It's not just it's Connor Bedard. Like, he's the real deal. And I think anything that the National Hockey League can do to help itself at this point, they've got to do. And if that means you push this Connor Bedard narrative, people are going to get sick of it, but guess what? They know his name.
I'm less likely to watch because of this.
And that's fine. But I think
I'm not going to be alone in that.
I think some people are going to want to check it out just to see if this guy is really the real deal. Maybe you're not a Blackhawks fan. I'm not a Blackhawks fan, and I'll tell you this much. I was watching the game last night, and I wanted to see if he could come out in his debut and actually look like an NHL player. He did.
Had an
And
assist.
the Blackhawks won.
They did.
And they were the underdog by far. And a Pittsburgh Penguins team who's averaging 30 years in age and going for what they hope to be, a cup run this year in a last effort to keep their guys together. So I'll say this. Connor Bedard, man, I'm excited for him and what he's injecting in the NHL. Give me Connor
Just
Bedard.
another
baby.
big market team lucky enough to be bad at the right time to get a superstar. Pass. Plus, what if the guy's Zion Williamson?
Yeah. Hockey's
I
a
think
little
it's a little
different.
Isn't he like
Yeah.
5'9"? How's it
Yeah.
different?
Think
He's a
it's-
tiny. What if he just gets beaten up? We can't call a guy a generational talent yet.
We call
Hockey's a
LeBron
different
that.
game.
We did call LeBron
We
that.
call
We called
LeBron
Zion
that.
Williamson that too. Look
And
what happened to him.
It's been
I
that
didn't
long.
believe in
I don't know if
Zion.
we knew I don't think we thought what we knew about Zion at the time. I'm into the Connor Bedard thing because I'm not a hockey fan, and this draws me in. I'm gonna be real with you. I had two young. My son and one of his friends with him. I was gonna sound real weird if I said I had two young boys with me.
young boys.
My son and one of his friends with him yesterday, classmates, and I was breaking down. So I was like, "Hey, this Connor Bedard kid is supposed to be the LeBron James of hockey moving forward, man. It's real good to appreciate what talent can be. That's my thing. I understand he went to a big market team and Chicago
that's not
gets
his
it.
fault.
It ain't his fault. If this kid has been donned to be this guy and they're equating him to a guy like Sidney Crosby, and Sidney lived up to it in that time frame too, and there's been nobody like this since that, I can buy into it just from the optic side of it. Am I going to dive all the way into hockey? Probably not as much as I should, but I will be trying to keep up with what Connor Bedard does.
Nah, it's just anointing a guy and having a ref mic'd up saying, "Welcome to the league, kid." Like, give me a break.
He's 18
man.
years old, though. I
don't
would
care.
That's because he saves their job.
I don't want to hear anybody mic'd up. Welcome to the league, kid. Like,
He
just play
saves
the
their
game.
jobs, though.
It's a part
I
of
don't know
it.
how
man.
he's not saving anything at 18.
If he sells tickets and he's a draw and be the star that you think,
well, so would any number one overall pick would sell tickets.
but this
No.
number one overall pick.
It's different, man. It's different.
Nah, I don't care. Just another big market superstar that us mid-market fans and natives of teams have to watch.
Feel you.
Those poor Chicago fans that never win anything. 615-737-1045. Spoiled Blackhawks fans, congratulations. I will not be watching. I do not care. Coming up, What's it like going to London? And is it a big deal the Titans are getting there later than the Ravens? We'll ask Ramon Foster that coming up next.
If you are buying a car from Two Rivers Ford when they first opened the doors in 1983, you probably want the latest technology, which would have been an AM, FM cassette combo back then. Then you probably go to the local paper to get some pricing, and then you drive over to Two Rivers Ford and talk to them about, talk to one of their non-commissioned salespeople. Flash forward to today, and the buying process looks a lot different. You see, Two Rivers Ford knows that everyone likes to shop differently, so they put you in control. In fact, you can buy a vehicle from Two Rivers Ford without ever coming into the dealership. Lots of customers do, and Two Rivers Ford delivers also. You can custom order the exact vehicle you want online. You can buy a stock vehicle online. You can schedule an at-home test drive. You can call or text and do a video walkthrough if you want. Whatever works best for you is what Two Rivers Ford will do. And if you want to head to the dealership for a test drive, the non-commissioned sales experts at Two Rivers Ford will make sure they get you everything you need and answer all of your questions. But no matter how you prefer to shop, you can always rest assured you'll get the best price at Two Rivers Ford because they sell all their new non-specialty Fords at just 1% over invoice. At Two Rivers Ford, you're in the driver's seat. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people.
So this is a small bird, too, for someone
right.
that's never seen a bob white before. It's this little round softball.
That's right. Yeah, they're not much bigger than my fist. They've got little legs, but they're a ground dwelling bird. If they never have to fly in their life, they wouldn't. Right? They just do that to get away from hawks and owls for the most part, or hunters. What they need is largely herbaceous plant communities. Right? So they need wildflowers. They need a small proportion of grasses. I don't need vast grasslands, right? I need stuff that most people would call weeds. Those are providing good brood cover, good nesting cover, a lot of insects, right? That's what chicks need to develop early.
Bridgestone Firestone is a quail focus or focal area. So tell us a little bit why.
Yeah, it's largely because there are very few places that have wild quail in the state of Tennessee anymore. And there's dozens of different factors that lead into that, right? Everybody wants to jump right to predators, but it's a habitat issue, right? Mm-hmm. It's a landscape change, whether we're talking about development or whether we're talking about fire not being on the landscape anymore, or fields and young forests progressing into closed canopy forest, right? So the farm, just by nature of it being an open landscape that's been maintained that way, has held on to some birds. And compared to most other places in the state, we're one of the very few. On top of that, the potential for growing that population, it's higher here than just about anywhere else.
What's going on? 8 o'clock on the dot from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. We got some breaking news out in the last 3 or 4 minutes. Adam Schefter's reporting that the Colts are going to place Anthony Richardson on injured reserve, sidelining him for the next 4 games. That means he's going to miss the Jaguars game, the Browns, the Saints, and the Panthers. Gardner Minshew is going to start in his place. Also, last night, Nashville Predators kicked off their 25th season against the Tampa Bay Lightning, but eventually fell 5-3. Close game, but the Preds gave up an open goal net late in the game to put it out of reach. Grizzlies were also in preseason action last night, putting the Bucks away 108-102. Newly acquired Jay Crowder led the Grizz in scoring with 14 points, also had 3 rebounds and 2 assists. And the trade in the NFL yesterday, the Rams sending wide receiver Van Jefferson and a 2025 7th-round pick to Atlanta in exchange for a 2025 6th. Atlanta's hoping Jefferson can recapture that 2019 mojo where he had 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast right here on 104.5 The Zone. Second half of the show starts right now. In 1 hour, we've got Rhett Bryan coming up. Executive producer of Titans Radio gets ready for us to hop across the pond here, in it. This upcoming weekend. At the weekend, Titans and Ravens, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the smallest club in London. We've got Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh. I'm Will Bowling. 615-737-1045 is our number. We lift spirits in London this upcoming weekend at a place where Tottenham can never lift a trophy. Okay, now I'm done. Appreciate that.
Josiah Schaefer's going to hit you up, man.
3, 2, 1.
Josiah's going to get you, man.
It has been 5,708 days since Tottenham won a trophy. But this weekend, they will have the trophy of our presence in the mix.
Oh, me, oh, my. Oh, what a good time. I'm very interested to see this stadium. I hadn't seen this one. What do we call this? A stadium
Brand
for
new.
them? Arena?
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, yeah.
Freaking looks phenomenal.
My question is, are you going to do that accent while you're in London?
No.
I think you should do that while you're sitting in the pub.
Absolutely
Jolly good
not.
show, isn't it? Aren't we? Have a pint and some
Come on, you Titans.
Yeah, beans on toast and all that.
Come on, Arsenal. Yeah, you know.
Beans on toast?
That's what they eat, man.
Oh,
Go have a breakfast over there. Get you some sausage
You get some
links.
baked beans with some bangers and mash.
Some mushrooms. That's a good thing. They have
Some
mushrooms.
poached eggs.
Yep.
Man, do the baked beans have flavor, though? Because I'm like...
Different flavor. They have some kind of flavor.
I think they're
Give me-
like ketchup flavor.
Don't give me bushes out of the
What do you
can.
mean,
Like,
Lou Holtz there
you
for a
can't
second.
just have baked beans. Like,
Ketchup.
But for
they gotta
breakfast.
be, no, they better not just be out of the can like that, man.
You
They
can
better,
go to the Fleet Street English Pub. No free shout-outs right down the road.
they better be
Got
like
bangers and mash there.
some cookout beans. You feel me? My baked beans at the crib.
Wait, cookouts?
Oh, not the-
like
not the
a
place.
cookout beans,
Like an actual
like
cookout.
an actual cookout.
I was like, did you
beans,
go
like
to
some
cookout without me?
I
'Cause
did
we're
not.
the only two that haven't been here.
Bert did the sandwich discovery too. We figured
So
that
good.
one out.
I got to bring it in, man. I got to
I
bring some for
know.
y'all. It's so good.
Yeah, it's too good.
Cookout tray with a cheese quesadilla. Give me a corn dog on the side, innit?
Would they
Josiah
slap
hit
us
me up.
if we asked for a corn dog?
Huh?
Would they slap us if we asked for
Ask for a corn dog?
Where?
Do they
London.
even know they exist? Because
In London?
Giannis didn't know
Yeah.
corn dogs existed.
Because I heard like don't ask for coffee either because it's
Don't
like
ask for
tea
coffee?
over there.
I'll do
Tea's
the tea.
great.
I'll do the
Absolutely.
tea.
All tea
100%.
all day.
Excited for that.
Got plenty of tea at home too. By the way, I enjoy tea. It's a nice switch up from coffee.
Yeah, I'm a tea drinker when it can be.
The only place you can get a corn dog at in the UK is TGI Fridays.
Oh
They
my
got a TGI
gosh.
Fridays.
Sweet.
I love how you just looked that up.
Apparently that is not a thing.
Okay, so
Corn
I do not need to ask that.
So they put beans on toast and eat it like we eat hash browns here. Is that what it is? Is that their
Kinda
card
sounds
for
like
breakfast? Maybe. I'm putting it together.
We
Don't
have
worry about
Michael in London on the line who can
Oh.
answer all these questions for us.
There we go.
615-737-1045. Good morning, Michael. How are you? Or good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What are you talking about?
Oh, we all right. We got you now. We were losing your connection a little bit there. We got you.
Hello, Ramon. Well, I'm completely lost. What country are you talking about?
I'm talking about. Are you that like
no,
the?
You're not going to Siberia, you know.
It's true.
We know a lot of what you eat, we eat.
Okay.
So the biggest difference is the thing in America is everything is bigger, big cars, big food, big women, big sugar. That's it.
Yeah.
Apart from that, it's the same thing.
That's
so
fair.
there you go. You know, it's not as bad. Not as bad at all. You'll enjoy it. Enjoy it.
I'm looking forward to it. I am. This time around with less stress on my mind as far as playing a football game, I really am looking forward to just look at the culture and embrace it, man. Just so you know. Okay, so if it's beans on toast, we're having beans on toast.
You will love it. So beans on toast basically is like a quick on-the-go kind of meal.
Okay.
That is an option if you don't want to have the full, for what we call the full English. So full English is the toast, the eggs, the bacon, the kind of stuff that you're used to without a pancake.
Yeah,
Right.
let's go.
So yeah, it's like, you know, I mean, honestly, the biggest difference is we just don't have as much variety as you guys have. Like, I go to McDonald's in America, and you need a dictionary to order. Whereas in England, it's pretty straightforward. So,
Fair.
you know, that's the main difference. It's not that bad. But talking about meals and beans and toast, I've left my details because we got to go dinner Friday night. I'm inviting 3 of you.
Let's go.
Let's do
Here we
it.
go.
Come on, we'll.
Okay, so you got my details already, so just let me know because
Okay.
I've actually postponed my travel because of you guys.
Nice.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
do not keep me hanging like an ugly side chick.
We got
waiting
you.
for you guys.
We got so
Okay.
Michael. We may or may not be headed to Wembley as well to see the Three Lions on Friday night.
You don't really want to do that. Forget about the Three Lions. I mean, if you want to catch an English game, the England game is probably the one to be at.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, the thing with the qualifiers is sometimes it gets so boring because
Right.
they're playing like lesser teams.
Right.
So you're better off watching England at the major championships. But
Sure.
if you've never been, then it's not. And there are 2 different stadiums as well, actually. So
Right.
one is going to be at Wembley, and then the game is going to be at Tottenham, which, you know, it's I think it was £1 billion to build it, which is ridiculous. It's supposed to be the best stadium in the world. So
Right.
we'll see. I've never been. So, yeah, you know. But Friday night, let me know what you guys are doing.
Sure.
I've kept the day open. And then because of the performance of the weekend, I am not going to talk football with you guys. We're going to talk volleyball,
Nice.
women's mud
Perfect.
wrestling,
We could talk Arsenal.
baseball. Because I'm sick at the moment after watching last week's game. I honestly, don't get me started on that.
Hey, Michael, do you have a Peloton?
As in the bike?
Yes.
I don't personally, but in the elite center that I work at, we go some Pelotons and we got some watt bikes.
Okay, because it's my goal to meet Hannah Frankson, who's down there. She's a Peloton instructor, and she is one of the head ones at Peloton. I'm obsessed with her. So if you run into her, tell her that I want to meet her.
I know
Yep.
Anna actually very, very
Wait,
well.
what?
I know Anna very well. Yeah, I know Anna.
Wait a second. Can I meet
goodness.
I see if I can reach out to her, but she used to be an athlete, but she's now doing very well at Peloton.
Nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
Anna used to be a long jumper.
She's a
Yeah,
bad A.
she's a beast.
There
Yeah,
you go.
she's done very well. She used
Okay.
to be a long jumper, but she's not doing very well at Peloton. But I'll see if I can get some details out. But
Okay.
Friday, we got a dinner date.
Yes.
And then after dinner, if you really want to take it onto the what stays in London stays in London.
Okay.
Then we can talk. Yeah.
All right.
That's a different number.
Michael will hit you
number.
up for sure. All right. Thank you, Michael. We'll talk soon.
I'm going to be honest with y'all. If they ain't got no big women over there, I wouldn't go.
My gosh.
That's what I'm saying.
Have you look up Hannah Frankson real
Hannah
quick?
Frankson?
She's
Is she a big woman?
This Peloton
she's-
world, I'm not.
she's like
I'm
got
not in the
some-
Peloton world.
She's badass.
Okay.
Is she?
Can I say that?
Sure.
I mean,
That-
there's plenty
yeah.
of things said on this show,
Okay.
on this station.
I was like, that's probably the worst thing
Hey,
I've ever said.
Ask for forgiveness later is kind of what I'm.
Yeah, Hannah Frankson. She is a Peloton instructor, very
Okay.
successful, a beautiful lady, very athletic.
I'm
I
not.
think is Bert looking her up too?
Of course, Bert is looking her up right
Don't
now.
you worry about me, back.
615-737-1045. Whether you are at home or abroad, you can join us.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love how we just had our plans planned there
It's
on
just on air right
on
there.
Ramon
Just
Kayla
take it
Will this
down.
morning.
Yeah, if you're also headed to Wembley, come slide in the DMs of at Ramon Kayla Will Friday night. Make them say hey to you for England and Australia.
I thought you was going to say, make him say, like Master P.
Na.
I don't know what that means, but okay. I thought about having us, if I really wanted to be a sicko, I was going to have us go to a Football League 1 match on Saturday. But we're gonna tour something else on Saturday.
How many leagues are there?
Oh gosh.
Oh.
No, like I want to look this up to be exactly right.
Will needs to go book another trip to hit all those soccer stadiums.
Oh no, I am. I'm already talking to one of my buddies about going back in
My
February.
goodness, you're not gonna have time.
Let's see. Well, you can walk between if we want to go to Liverpool, we can see how Everton and Liverpool are separated by a park.
Wow.
By a park?
Yeah, their stadiums are on two sides of a literal park. Like
What?
you can see from the top of one, you can see the other stadium. Like I'll be able to see a lot of soccer stadiums just within a general area. The English Football League has a lot of tiers. I'm seeing 11.
Jeez.
11 tiers? Yeah. No, more than that, actually. I don't know. I'm
How
looking
many-
at it right now. No, yeah, 11. 11 in the Football League. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask Ramon how many tears you shed on that trip over to London as a
lot.
player.
That trip actually changed the trajectory of our team after that. I'm going to be real. We
Really?
lost we went 0-8 to start the season, essentially.
Yes, you did.
Lost 4
Oh,
straight
wow.
preseason games and lost 4 regular season games. That changed everything about our team coming back from London. Same way Derek was born over there, I think you said, where Eddie had the conversation with him years back.
Yep.
Le'Veon turned into him after that game. We actually saw him play a style of ball that we wanted to go from and after that game right there.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, let's dive into that coming up. We got sidetracked with Michael London. To answer your question, there are 57 leagues featuring a total of 84 divisions in England, all connected.
Amateur pros all the way up?
Pretty much.
Okay, all right.
Pretty
all right.
much.
I was about to say.
That's intense.
Yeah, 84 leagues total.
I'm ready. I watched the
love
Beckham documentary. I'm ready to go.
There you go.
We're
Let's
gonna
go.
see what I am on this one.
Coming up, Scout Meeting Wednesday, including scouting the travel for the Tennessee Titans heading to London. That's next on RKW.
It's football season. It's time to switch to Zen Sports, the fastest growing sportsbook in Tennessee, changing the betting bonus game with their cash rewards program. When you sign up for Zen Sports with the referral code, you earn a welcome bonus that'll give you 5% cash back on your total betting volume for your first 15 days of betting. 5%. Think about that for a second, okay? It's insane. Zen Sports also offers an incredibly easy to navigate mobile app also. So you can find the bets you want to make on the games you want to bet on. And they guarantee you won't find an easier way to build parlays either. So what are you waiting for? Stop wasting your time and money on other sports books when you be earning real cash rewards with Zen Sports. Download today on the App Store or at zensports.com. Your wallet will thank you later. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. You must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet.
Second half of the show rolling on at RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast. Got our Concepcion Buena Vista blend going. You can pick that up at 8th Avenue, Charlotte, from the great nation of Guatemala. We're just international all over the place.
We are.
Here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We'll get to Scout Meeting Wednesday in a minute. Guys, anyone in this room knows, we're just talking about it in the break. I'm not going to bring it on. I'm going to bring it on air now.
Do it.
I feel like I'm keeping the Immaculate Grid in business every day at 8 a.m.
You might be.
Oh.
Because every day you're like, it's 8 o'clock. It's Immaculate Grid time.
I went 9 for 9 on baseball today.
Ooh,
First time I've been able to do that.
And you're cooking in college right now.
I know. Yeah, there's a college football one now. CFBgrids.com. Free shout out. And you have 3 conferences every time or 3 teams.
Right.
And the goal is to get it as rare as possible, but you have unlimited guesses for this one. But the qualifier is 1 career completion, 1 career rushing yard, and 1 career receiving yard. And I make it a point to do former Tennessee Titans on all of them. So, like, for 1 career rushing yard, I put Bishop Sankey, 0.8%.
Yep.
For 1 career rushing
UW.
yard in the Big 12, I put Kendall Wright, 0.2% of the votes. And it gives you a leaderboard on who wins of, like, around the country afterwards. My brother beats me most days on this this
Oh, so
race.
you can actually go head to head.
Well, not really. He just sends me a
he just sends you
screenshot
his
of his.
stuff. Okay.
And like the other day, we did Tennessee, Ramon, and it's crazy that you didn't even know some of the players that I put for Tennessee.
What?
Did not.
Are you serious?
There you go.
I'm so serious.
So
Who did you have?
Or no, yeah, just one of the players. So for 1 career receiving yard, I put Devrin Young.
Never heard.
Former
Devrin.
Fort and Bearden High School Bulldog, war number 19, short guy,
What
5'6", played for Butch. I want to say, all right, let's fact check this in a minute. I want to say he was 2010 to 2013, Devrin Young.
I definitely didn't know.
I think.
I was trying to survive my rookie and second year.
Survey
I love the look on your face.
says he was the class of 2011.
I was just saying,
I was
knew he
1 year
wasn't
off.
yeah, no.
5'8", 165 is what he was listed at. Devrin
Okay.
Young.
He's probably having a very successful life. these days. My bad.
Right?
He
Ramon
went pro
just doesn't
in,
know yet.
He went pro in something other than sports. I put that for receiving yards. I put Eric Berry for rushing yards
Yeah.
because he played Wildcat quarterback in 2008 when B.J. Coleman got the start against Vandy in 2008, 20-10 win for the Vols. And then Jawan Jennings I put for 1 career completion. You have heard of him.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I have.
My brothers, shout out Wes. Bernie Veazey was his 1 career completion. 1 career rushing yard, Will Bartholomew, shout out Nashville native. And 1 career receiving yard was Benji Schuler for his 3. Anyway, it's something I find very fun. Scout Meeting Wednesday.
Yay.
Let's go.
Before we hit the music, Ramon, I want to scout the travel. What is the hardest part about the travel, or just scale of 1 to 10, or if you don't want to put a number on it, that's fine. How difficult is it? Because there are a lot of people talking about this who haven't done it. Slay's perspective on 3HL was great. He's had those long travel days, then immediately played, right? I mean, well-traveled Ron Slay, as we always mention. How difficult was it?
About a 7, depending on how you adjust to sleeping. If you're a fast sleeping person, okay, fine, you'll be all right. But the idea that you get off the plane, go straight to practice, and then have meetings in your regular routine as a player, it can be a bother. That's the thing about it. You're just out of your norm. My biggest thing, I remember on game day, I woke up at like 4 in the morning. Like, that's where I kind of was, because it was my normal wake-up time. 4 in the morning over there is a little bit different. And because you're trying to adjust and go to sleep, it can be an issue. But the thing is this, when the game comes around, you're ready to go. Whether you're drinking tons of caffeine or whatever the case may be, you're set and ready to go. It's just the lead-up of dragging around, just like, God, do we eat right now? Is it time to go right now? You know, it's those questions that you have to have for yourself for the most part. You'll be fine. It's just that it'll be 6 o'clock in the evening. You're going to be like, golly, I'm tired.
Yeah.
And that's because you try to force yourself into a time zone because you got to adjust to what your actual job is. And that's to play football at, what time's the kickoff over there? 2 o'clock?
2:30.
2:30?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's where you kind of find yourself a little bit. I remember just waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning over there. It's just like, what the heck
You're
am I
like, go
doing?
back to sleep.
Yeah, because what is that, 10 o'clock Eastern time at that time when I was living in Pittsburgh? So, yeah.
Yep.
It'll be about that.
9:30.
9:30.
9:30?
So,
Okay, yeah.
You know, it's adjustable, though. It's guys are pros, and they have to be. I put it on the 7 of difficulty, Will.
That
Not
surprises me a little bit
Yeah.
because I feel like as a professional athlete, obviously your body is at the highest level of performance of any human. But it is interesting to hear that it really does affect players that much.
West Coast does the same thing. From East Coast to West Coast,
Right.
Yeah, it does.
waking up super early in the morning.
Well, yeah, because you played in Eastern time, and obviously, I mean, that's a 3-hour difference if you're playing in Los Angeles.
And so for a guy like myself, they're telling you to try to stay up or go to bed at a reasonable time. Well, heck, I'll be tired at 7 o'clock over at that time. And if I go to bed at 7 o'clock, I'm going to wake up at 3 in the morning.
Sure.
That's just my sleep schedule, the way my training and body has adjusted to, the way I operate. And that's where I found issue with stuff as far as going to the West Coast or going overseas, too.
So it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for a little call and response. Scout Meeting Wednesdays featuring fact checks from Robert Walsh. Hit the music, Robert.
Is this thing on? This is a segment of the
Good.
That's right. It's too good. Scouting from Ramon Foster, who takes the reins now. And Robert Walsh, just chime in and interrupt him if you think anything is especially true or false.
Yeah. Here we go. This will be my only shots I take at the Ravens right here. We have this week, the Tennessee Titans have the Ravens, Ratbirds,
Yeah.
Bert's Flock. Is Bert's Flock okay? Can I put that on the shirt, Bert?
I like that.
Bert's Flock is what we'll call him this week, okay?
We are Bird's Flock in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we are. It's his world. It's his world, okay? A lot of history between these two teams recently. The series actually is tied 13-13.
Wow.
Yes. Titans winning 3 of the last 5. I'm going to lead into some stuff, and then we'll go into the players and expectation. Things to expect this week. Ravens wide receivers to be a lot better. Got to expect that. Pros don't have 2 bad weeks in a row. Got to expect the Ravens wide receivers to be better. Had tons of drops against Pittsburgh in the game, and I will go on tape and say this, and I said this on my podcast. Pittsburgh should have lost. Point blank period. They had open drops down the field, 2 in the end zone. Just like, I know RG3 said what he said, but they did not help out our Lamar Jackson this past week, okay? Lamar will try and run probably more in a game like this. If y'all don't want to catch the ball, watch me do work. I will say this. Lamar has become a little bit more of a game manager. He will get down fast. So do not be that guy this weekend that try to hit Lamar as he's going to a slide. He is openly giving himself up in open field so that he doesn't get hit. So
Smart.
I expect him to run the ball. Here's another thing from the fan base. Don't get mad if Mark Andrews get his numbers. He's one of the best. He gonna get his. Bert, am I correct?
He's going to fight through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He's definitely going to be the one who gets the majority of the targets, not named Zay Flowers.
There we go. And here's the other side of it, too, considering what the Titans do before we go deeper into it. Their run defense is solid, always have been, always will be. And I'll get to the personnel of what those guys do and who they are also. John Harbaugh. This is where I'm a little sketchy, Bert. John Harbaugh cut his teeth as a special teams coach. They've had a punt block last week. I'd expect something crazy from them somewhere in special teams this week. They had a kickoff return, or punt return, also ran back against them in Cincinnati, although there was a penalty thrown on it, so it was brought back. John Harbaugh is not going to have
They picked the flag up. That's what I meant to tell you that earlier. They threw the flag and picked it up, and it kind of made some of the special teams guys pull off. But
yeah, so this is going to be fascinating watching him. Speaking of special teams, Justin Tucker. If the ball crosses the 50-yard line, counted as 3 points. Although this year he is only 1 for 3 from 50+. One of those was a 61 or 63-yarder in his defense. If the ball's crossing 50-yard line was a rule that we played by. Count him as 3 points.
Yeah.
Justin Tucker may not be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he gonna get in the Hall of Fame as a kicker. Fair? Unfair?
Fair.
Very fair. Okay.
Yeah, possible. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so. He's best. He's generational at this point. Starting with Lamar Jackson, here we go. Again, he's become more of a manager than I think people are talking about. He's 69.9% passing at this point, almost 70%. 4 passing TDs and 2 picks on the season. His TD numbers could be better. Again, they screwed him in Pittsburgh, his wide receiving core. 4 rushing touchdowns while averaging 5.6 a rush. His longest has only been 26 yards. He hasn't had that big breakout run yet. He's just being more careful. He sees bodies. He's getting down. But he also has 7 fumbles on the season.
Ooh.
Ball security is a thing. Now, whether that's his O-line giving it up or whatever case may be, 7 fumbles, not a good look for a quarterback that has the ball in his hand a lot and also runs with the ball too. Lamar has a lot more weapons. Odell Beckham Jr., we know who he is. He's healthy. He's playing. He's going to be a threat. He's an older guy. Okay, well, so is D-Hop. He's still going to be that threat that you need on the field, and you must pay attention to him. The name will follow. Odell Beckham is him still, okay, or can be in moments. You don't want him getting hot. Zay Flowers, I think it's fair to say, Burt, wide receiver 1 for this group.
He has had more catches through 5 weeks than any Ravens rookie in history.
There we go.
Decent.
Wow.
Boston College standout.
Boston College standout. And everybody knew he was going to be good.
Yeah.
Speed demon can also cause problems. He's a 4.42 guy. Rashad Bateman, 4.39 guy.
I remember loving him for the Titans in the pre-draft process.
Bateman.
Yeah.
Yeah, solid, man. But here's
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yep. Still waiting on him to have a breakout year. Is what I have for him.
Got to stay healthy.
Gotta stay healthy.
Looked good in limited reps last season because he was the guy the Titans liked or Titans fans liked because in a similar sense, he was another PJ Fleck wide receiver who was going to do every phase of the game for you the way Corey Davis did when he was here.
Yeah, it's fascinating, man. They got a lot of speed on this group. Next guy, Devin Duvernay. Not a big position player. He has made Pro Bowl and All-Pro as a kick returner, punt returner. Again, another speed demon. I think he's 4.4 speed also. Lamar finally got a stable of wide receivers and talent that he can actually count on right now. Devin Duvernay is another guy. Mark Andrews. What's the post that people have? Dog. Simply put, he's their number 2 as a tight end. He should be in the same conversation as Kittle, Kelsey, Waller. He's in it. I don't know why we always forget Mark Andrews.
And you do, really.
You always, but steady Eddie. Pro Bowl, All-Pro guy, man. He don't miss. Here's his stat line, too. 28 targets, 20 catches. 28 targets, 20 catches on the season, okay? He don't miss. He also has 3 touchdowns. Another guy I need to pay attention on this team, too, although younger dude, Isaiah Likely. Good. They have that 2 tight end tandem. You will like a guy like him, man. And again, on the running back side of things, we closed out the offense. Running back by committee is their MO. Gus Edwards, the lead dog, averaging 4.3 a carry. Justice Hill found the end zone a good bit as a running back for the Ravens, too. And here's the most unique thing about what Baltimore can do. If it's close, they can churn it out because they have a very unique fullback. Former D lineman Patrick Ricard.
Ricard.
Yeah.
It's Ricard?
Yep.
Well, our pronunciation was bad in Pittsburgh
That's okay.
then. We call him Ricard.
Pronunciation?
Yes, enunciation.
Your pronunciation
of
pronunciation.
Hey, pipe down. Pipe down. It's my segment, okay? Bert's the one fact-checking me back here, okay?
I'll turn my
I
mic on.
blocked this dude on the D-line and come to see him change his position as a fullback is crazy
So
to me.
he's like a veteron.
He's a former D-lineman.
Yeah.
Calling him out old?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not old.
I'm 37. I got no problem with that. Don't mind him.
He's got life
roll.
experience.
We roll. 4 times Pro Bowler at fullback. He's a more you can do guy. That's the offense. Bert, how'd I do? Who I forget?
I don't think you did a bad job at all. You covered everybody pretty much. The one guy that you did not hit on in the backfield, undrafted free agent Keaton Mitchell, who was very good in the preseason, very speedy. He gives something to that backfield that they don't have. Okay. They don't have someone who has game-breaking speed back there. He has not been activated off injured reserve yet, but he did practice fully all last week. So he's got a 21-day window, 14 of those left. He's a possibility because they are out of practice squad elevations for Melvin Gordon. They are out of practice squad elevations for Kenyon Drake. So both of those guys will probably sit on the practice squad unless they have an injury over there and they move somebody and try to get some space.
And as far as the O-line go, I like Ronnie Stanley. He's very technical in how he plays. Bert, I know, has some indifferences with him. Also, Tyler Linderbaum, high draft pick for them.
That's who I liked. I loved Linderbaum.
Zeitler also is a name you know, former Pro Bowl, All-Pro. And Morgan Moses from Washington is a dude that's solid at right tackle for what Baltimore suggests.
Now, the 2 things here. Left guard, John Simpson. He was a 4th-round pick by the Raiders in, I believe, 2020. The Raiders let him go because he had too many penalties, too many holds, too many false starts. He worked through a lot of that, but he is still prone to holds. I think he has 4 or 5 penalties on the year, basically one every week. Now, on the right side, Morgan Moses had a shoulder injury that kept him out of the Steelers game. He played in a consecutive 134 games. He did not miss a game from his rookie year until last week. I would expect him to play. He's a psychopath. He's one of those guys that you have to keep off the field. But if he does not play, you would get Daniel Falele at right tackle, who is a large man, played at the Senior Bowl, 6'8". The problem with him is he struggles with speed. He's a bigger, stronger guy. He can grade you, but you saw last week T.J. Watt took him for a ride, and I don't think he touched him once out of the time when he came in to start at right tackle for Patrick McCary. McCary also, by the way, left the Pittsburgh game with a chest contusion. He is practicing today. So he should also be there to be their swing tackle guy.
Yeah, that right tackle got worked. You better hope Morgan Moses is back this week, man, because I can see similar things happen. That's not even trash talking, but they need to fix that bad.
For sure.
And here's the thing, too, about playing against Lamar. Do not rush behind Lamar. Keep Lamar in front of you. If there's an umbrella, keep him in the umbrella. If you let Lamar move outside to the hashes, you're in trouble. Pittsburgh and other teams that beat him have kept him under the umbrella. That is the thing that has to happen with Lamar Jackson. Fluster him in the middle and do not let him scramble outside. Bert, fair to say with Lamar?
For sure. He's the one driving the car now.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about him bobbing and weaving. He's just going to go down and attempt to make people hit him to try to draw a flag. He doesn't take big hits very often.
No, he does not anymore.
He's literally like averaging 5.64 a game on the ground.
That's what I'm saying. He's making it happen.
Just a maniac.
Defense. The one thing I always hated about Baltimore, I never worried about their offense, obviously, but their defense. This is one of them you better have your mind right type of weeks, okay, when you play the Ravens defense. 4 interceptions of a team, only giving up 15 points per game. Second in the league at that stat line right there. Here's what's very unique this week. They are ball hunters. 12 forced fumbles and have recovered 6. They got 18 sacks on the season, too. They get after you, okay? Led by Roquan Smith and Patrick Quinn. I think 2 of the best middle linebackers in the game doing it. Here's the thing about them. Speed and pain is what they deliver. Both will blitz and have blitz, and they have 4 sacks between each of them. They are very opportunistic. I don't think I've seen a faster, more heat-seeking linebacker than what Roquan Smith can provide. So, don't expect anything from them as far as backing down. Marlon Humphrey is back. Last week, a little bit of iffy for the young fella, man. He got beat by George Pickens on the game-winning touchdown. I'd expect him to bounce back again. He's just now getting healthy again. We'll probably see him on D-Hop. Ronald Darby, also 9-year vet on the other side. Baltimore might have the most names on the defense. You'd be like, oh, yeah, I remember that dude. Ronald Darby and Marlon Humphreys. This guy, young man out of Notre Dame, Kyle Hamilton.
Ranked as the number 5 safety in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus.
6'4", 219 pounds. That's an outside rusher. That is a linebacker right there. And this dude is looking like a first rounder this year, too. Again, they get guys that play a physical style of ball. O-line will have his hands filled up because they do get to the line of scrimmage and they're not afraid to throw their face in the fan. Now, I told you about the run game and how they play ball. Baltimore's always been having this type of dude since Big Goose, R.I.P., Tony Saragusa, man.
Yeah.
They've always had big dudes up the middle, from him to Haloti Nada to Brandon Williams. Always. The 2 dudes these years start with the 2 bowling balls. That's essentially what they are. You watch film of Michael Pierce, he might be 5'10", 355 pounds. Where to lie at?
He is as round as he is tall.
His jersey flaps up. Like, you know how you wear a shirt on your jersey? His shirt flaps up because his belly is, a big dude, man. He hard to move. He's a roadblock, man. But they got him listed at 6 foot 355-ish. Travis Jones is his backup also, 6'4", 338. Big guys move around, though. I will say they can get in the backfield. They only want to stop the run and keep their linebackers clean, which is what Roquan and Patrick Quinn come into place. Their long rushers is what I call them. Justin Matabiki and Jadeveon Clown is also getting a lot of pressure.
Jadeveon.
He's getting a lot of pressure, but he also has a sack on the season, okay? He leads that team in quarterback hits. Other guys, Brent Urban, lunch pail guy, and a headache. I hate it going against him. Daffy Owe, first-time opening day starter, is a solid rusher off the edge, too. And they also have another vet in Kyle Van Noy, who's a nuisance, too. That is your Baltimore Ravens defense.
I'm sorry, but I just got scared.
Well, that's what Scott meeting's supposed to be about.
Well, this one scared me, I think, the most.
Well, of course. I want to detail for our guy, Bert.
I got 3 notes for you. I know we got to get out really quick here.
Let's do it after the break.
Okay, cool.
3 notes from Robert Walsh on his Ravens coming up next. Scott Meeting Wednesday continues on RKW.
Have you heard about lab-grown diamonds? Here's a word of advice. Don't buy a lab-grown diamond until you talk to my friends at Genesis Diamonds. Genesis will reveal the secrets behind the new products and make sure you are protected if you decide to buy one. Genesis non-commissioned expert will teach you the difference between natural diamonds and lab-grown diamonds so you can make the smartest, most informed decision. One important fact you will learn is how some jewelers are grossly overcharging for lab-grown stones. There are some insane markets going on. You just need to be aware of them, okay? For example, some stores are selling 4-carat round lab-grown diamond stud earrings at around $9,000. But at Genesis, get them for half the price with better quality also. And yes, I said half the price. Bottom line is, anytime you're shopping for jewelry, you need to be informed. You need to get a second opinion. You need to be careful and informed also. That's what Genesis promises. They are transparent and will teach you what you need to know to make a smart buy, just like they always have. Genesis Diamonds, your trusted advisor when it comes to the complex world of diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs and the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Rose right here on 104.5 The Zone. Coming up in 15 minutes, he will be in the building, the one and only Rhett Bryan, executive producer of Titans Radio, before he takes the Titans Radio show across the pond this upcoming weekend. And Robert Walsh, our producer, is somewhat of an expert on his Baltimore Ravens. You have 3 bullet points, Bert.
I do. I wanted to go through offense, defense, and special teams just really quickly with you guys. We'll start with offense. You talked about Baltimore being a power team, a hard-nosed team, similar to the Tennessee Titans, but that's kind of gone by the wayside with their lack of depth in the backfield. They've shown an issue with putting games away late. They weren't able to come back and finish the Steelers off the way they should have. They should have been running the ball, and somehow Gus Edwards only gets 12 carries. Now, nobody knows whether that's an injury thing, whether they're trying to get him ramped back up, but they don't have guys that they trust to completely carry the rock. So there is a scenario where the Titans are in this game late because the Ravens cannot put it away. To the defense, Mike McDonald, their second-year defensive coordinator, is probably on the Ben Johnson trajectory. I don't think he gets a head coaching job this year, but how quickly he's turned around this defense from the image of Wink Martindale into his own. It's kind of like an NBA team now. Everybody's positionless. He's got guys that can do multiple things. You talked about Kyle Hamilton being the 5th rated safety, but it's kind of odd because he doesn't really play that much safety. Geno Stone, the safety behind him, has played so well that they've had to keep him on the field. So Kyle Hamilton kind of plays the nickel role where he's shaded over the slot, or he's almost like an overload blitzer on the side. You saw that in the Cincinnati game, where he sacked Joe Burrow 3 times. And then Roquan. Roquan has completely changed the demeanor of this team. He gives you a quote every single week. I remember in Cleveland they tried to play back "we're coming to your house to kick your butt in front of your wife and kids." But my favorite is from week 1. Everybody on the defense at halftime was complaining about how hard Tank Dell was to hit. And Marlon was back there, he's not playing, but he's in the locker room, and he's talking about this on his podcast, saying, everybody's got, man, that guy's slippery. That guy's slippery. And Roquan pipes up, he ain't slippery, just hit him. Which I love. I love that so much.
Roquan, by the way, who is the number 1 linebacker according to Pro Football Focus in the NFL.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Told you, he's having a year, and you can tell.
Legitimus.
Yeah. He's having a year.
What is that?
To the special teams issues that Ramon hit on. They are not the special teams team that you know. Historically, the Ravens have been in the top 5 in special teams metrics every year, but since their special teams coordinator, Jerry Rosberg, retired, and then he was brought out of retirement last year to come in and be an analyst for the Broncos. Now he has been an analyst in Baltimore. Their team has not been great. They are frequently outkicking their coverage, which is no fault of Jordan Stout. That's
every man's dream.
That's the special teams. Special teams cannot get down the field quick enough. So I would imagine whoever is returning punts for the Titans, they would be able to have some good chances at some returns.
Good.
Kyle Phillips.
It could be this week.
Probably will be.
Yeah.
Weak point of the defense, according to Pro Football Focus, as I always bring you the analytics after we've given the primary source, which is actually watching them play. Broderick Washington, former 5th-round pick out of Texas Tech, rated as the number 95 interior defensive lineman out of 124 defensive linemen.
Just got paid, too.
Just got paid.
3-year deal.
And then the left side of the Ravens' offensive line, according to Pro Football Focus, has struggled a bit. John Simpson at left guard, the former Clemson Tiger. And then, of course, the veteran Ronnie Stanley at left tackle. Bert, have you noticed him not be quite as strong this year to start the year?
For sure, and that's kind of been the narrative around Ronnie Stanley the last few years. He's a guy that they tout as he doesn't want to play unless he's 100%. And I imagine they had a hard conversation with him that we need you to play. Last week he gave up, I believe it was 8 pressures to TJ Watt in the gang. So not the all-pro Ronnie Stanley that you're used to. He's still a good player, still smart, still has all the attributes he had, just not the elite player that he once was.
There you go.
Exactly what it is with him. He's good when he's good, but again, it's a matter of what Ronnie wants to do. It seems like, and I like Ronnie, real good, real cool with him.
What's the one matchup you circle that the Titans could take advantage of?
Take advantage of in this game?
Yep.
Right tackle, and I say that for 2 reasons. it'd be good to see Harold have a good one.
Okay.
If he's going to have, and I know he's probably, mentally like, I got to make some plays for this team. That's where I kind of want to see him take advantage of him. Has to be the reason.
And I would say, too, Ramon, because you mentioned just Lamar and the ball security, I think that's a big thing for the defense to have to focus on, getting that ball out, right?
Yep. No, 100%.
615-737-1045, the number. Rhett Bryan stops by coming up next. We continue our Wednesday morning edition of RKW after this.
The future of joint pain relief is here. It's called QC Kinetics, Advanced Regenerative Medicine. This is amazing stuff, and it's Ramon Foster. If you've been told more steroids or surgery are your only options, don't be so fast. Get a second opinion and learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. I'm talking lasting relief also. QC Kinetics doesn't mask the pain. These treatments go to the very root of the problem, using concentrated healing properties placed directly in your joint to restore and repair damaged joint tissue. Imagine living life this fall with no more pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulders, your back, with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Listen, life is all about motion, and QC Kinetics is giving people their lives back with these all-natural treatments. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. The number is 615-249-4024. Again, it's 615-249-4024.
What's going on? Just about 9 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. We got some breaking news this morning for Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson. He's being added to injured reserve, meaning he's out the next 4 games. Gardner Minshew is going to start in his place. The Colts also added quarterback Kellen Mond to their practice squad. That means Anthony Richardson's going to miss 4 pretty important games for the Colts. The Jaguars, the Browns, the Saints, and Carolina. All we're going to see Gardner Minshew start. And last night, the Predators kicked off their 25th anniversary season against the Tampa Bay Lightning, falling 5-3. It was a close game, but Preds gave up an open goal net late that put the game out of reach. Grizzlies were in preseason action last night as well, putting the Bucks away 108-102. Newly acquired Jay Crowder led the Grizz in scoring, 14 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. And the trade in the NFL yesterday. The Rams sending wide receiver Van Jefferson and a 7th-round pick to Atlanta in exchange for a 6th-round pick. Atlanta hopes Jefferson can recapture that 2019 mojo where he had 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once, and you're home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
And when you look at the time, it's already the 4th and final hour, the 4th quarter of Wednesday's RKW. As always, we're brewed by 8th and Roast, the caffeine that gets us through having 4 hours a day to talk sports with you. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. Can make a rhyme anytime. With Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer, and Rhett Bryan joining us in studio. I'm Will Bowling. Rhett, who will be across the pond with us and with your Tennessee Titans in it. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, North London.
Oi!
Coming up at the weekend. Good morning, Rhett. Top of the morning to you.
You want a meat pie? You want a fish pie? You want a pint?
Fish pie.
Rhett is way better at this accent than I am.
No, not really. Because I ended up saying it too long, and it ends up turning into Australian.
That's what I do, too.
I ended up going like that, and it ends up sounding like, back in 1975,
That's
we
really
were in
good.
the outback blowing the froth off a couple, and this croc jumps into our boat.
Crikey.
Bout. It's the
Oi.
emphasis on the B's in your letters that are doing that for me, Rhett B.
That's
But they
awesome.
say, it was like back in 1975.
It's right.
90. I wish I was good at that, Rhett. I'm not good at that.
The one tip I will give on British accents is it's at the weekend. Like Michael in London called in, and they don't say weekend, it's weekend.
At the weekend?
At the weekend. Yeah, which I say that for NSC.
Yeah, they
games.
say other things like, I can't come to the party. My uncle's, he's at hospital.
At hospital.
At the
He's
Not
weekend.
the hospital, but hospital.
He's at hospital.
Titans arrives at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at the weekend.
My parents are on holiday.
That's right.
On holiday.
On
Yeah,
holiday.
they're
I
on
like that one.
holiday.
I guess that kind of makes sense, though.
Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, that's right.
Bob's your uncle. That's solid, right? I'm not good at that, but you do that for. I think that's you and your voice that do it for Buck, but I'm not sure on.
And
the
our
voice.
AI as well.
Yeah, in AI.
I was trying to keep some, mystery behind.
1045
there you
the
go.
Zone AI.
AI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, solid, man.
We'll
You
be
excited to go over?
recalculating.
I am. The only thing I want to. I'll be more excited when we're wheels up tomorrow afternoon. Because like you, I am doing the going to bed earlier deal and no caffeine afternoon.
Yeah.
So I'm going to conk out on that plane. And the other part is I'm always skittish. I want to make sure that we get to Tottenham Hotspur, set up the booth, and connect back here so that we're able to do the broadcast. Once we do all that, it's party time. Let's go.
And this
I'm
is an
good.
international hookup for you
Grab a
guys.
pint.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating because the one thing is that I've learned with them, they go into whatever city we go into, Titans Radio, Rhett, Brad and Phillip will go to the stadiums to set up. And it's a process to figure out the configuration of the building, where everybody's going to line up at. It is a full process for you guys to be carrying stuff overseas this time.
Yeah, and so back several weeks ago, the three of us went over to the home booth here, our home booth at Nissan, and we did an inventory of every single item in those 3 road cases, all of it.
Wow.
Like, you have so many cables and so many, and then it gets down to the computers, the equipment, what's the brand name, and what's the brand model name, and the serial number, and the manufacturer's origin. All this to put in a spreadsheet to send to the Titans ops people, because some of their stuff was sent over on a boat weeks and weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
This was just for the flight manifest.
Huh.
And so, yeah, now I'm so glad that we're going to a state-of-the-art facility like Tottenham Hotspur, because when we went 5 years ago, it was to Wembley.
Yeah.
And at Wembley, there is no radio booth.
Oh.
So we had to put our equipment in our main rack on a smaller case with a smaller board on it for operation, and all these long cables to weave in and out. We were all sitting in 4 or 5 different places in the lower bowl. There's like these 2 seats bolted to the floor, a table, a piece of plexiglass, and a small screen.
Whoa.
So we're very close to the fans. And I'll never forget it, because Matt Money Smith and Daniel Jeremiah, they're the voices of the Chargers. We're playing the Chargers, and they're a couple of rows over, but it's disjointed. There's actually a radio booth, and I've already seen the point of view, and there's supposed to be all the hookups and connectivity. Of course, the thing is, just a couple of 3 years old.
Yeah.
And it's made for this. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Because that's one thing we'll have in Titans Countdown Sunday. Mike had a great interview with Neil Reynolds of Sky Sports, who's been covering the NFL over there since they started having games over there in 2007. And that was where he said this is the point where it became a reality that we were going to have more than one game occasionally here, and possibly have a team over here permanently when that place was built. Because, yes, Tottenham Hotspur plays there, and all the pitches and the fields and things are stored underneath the stadium. I mean, it's amazing. But this is made for NFL football, too. So,
that's so cool.
I'm very excited to see the building itself and what it's like. And it's what we're used to, and going to the latest, greatest state-of-the-art stadiums every week.
Yep.
That's awesome.
I'm thrilled. I think it's going to be really cool to just see like how they've done it, right?
Yeah. And here's the other part. What I anticipate is much like what we saw in Wembley 5 years ago. First of all, the NFL is growing in Europe, the fandom. Mm-hmm. And there'll be Titans fans there that not only travel from here, but we met them 5 years ago from Ireland and Scotland and Germany. And so you'll have those. And the other part of it, it'll kind of look like a Pro Bowl game, because you'll have probably jersey representation from all 32 teams. Mm-hmm. And so, and they have learned more than just to cheer for the punters and the kickers. I mean, they've learned the sport in this, and you'll see now. We'll see how, as things build momentum, whether it gets above a murmur and chatter and whistles and things, throughout. But I think they're becoming more savvy as fans of the NFL. And talking to a friend of mine, Anthony Wooten, he is a presenter for BBC and some things. And I just did another hit with him in London yesterday, and he said, these people are crazy about it. He's actually going to cover some of the games in Germany. He said they're even more crazy about it.
In Germany?
Wow.
They say that 40% of the country's populace in Germany are hardcore NFL fans.
That's incredible.
Think about that.
Big time. Yep.
That is incredible.
And that's why these games, not only in London, but there, sell out in just minutes every time they're listed.
We're going to have a huge crowd with us Friday at the Admiralty of the Titans UK group, too. Like, it is crazy, the amount of following. And I've talked to Tony Husband about that, who's a Apple TV Major League Soccer broadcaster who was the former TV voice of Nashville SC. Mm-hmm. And he said, if you guys just put the Super Bowl a couple hours earlier, which doubtful, it would blow up even more.
Yeah.
Because you'd be able to watch. Because right now, kickoff's around 5 o'clock. That's 11.
Around 5:25 is an official kick.
It's 11 p.m. British time.
Mm-hmm.
If it was even at noon on a Super Bowl Sunday, if it was at noon Eastern.
Which is all the more reason to line the Super Bowl up with President's Day.
I know.
And have it a national holiday. And while we're at it, let's have a world holiday out.
Absolutely.
Please.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, I'm excited to see and interact with fans from the other countries. And it's so weird. They're like, to meet, I met some people at the pub 5 years ago, and they were like, these German guys, they were like, oh, yeah, we know who you are. We listen to them. I'm like, what?
Jeez. You don't think that, right?
Yeah, we hear you on the Official Titans podcast all the time. I'm like, oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome.
You don't think about that because you're just thinking about us in the backyard here, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, this sport is growing big time. And I know we're going to get into it because it's Scout Meeting Wednesday, but this is a biggie. This is the best team the Titans have faced all season. And just like the Ravens, both teams are going into London with a 7-point loss to a division rival in their back pocket, and for different reasons. So, I mean, the Titans, this is huge. Going into the bye week at 3-3 sounds a whole lot better than going into it at 2-4.
Yes, it does, my brother. Yes, it does.
I mean, that's just, woo.
Yeah, challenge for sure, but it's I look at this on both ends. And, of course, if tempers stay calm and cool and nothing is, stepping over the line this week, it should be a good game between the two.
Mm-hmm.
It should be. You got former Titans, Davian Clowney on this team too, of course, and he didn't have a good tenure here in Nashville. Just watching these O-lines get together. Of course, the O-line have their issues. You got a running quarterback in Lamar that they got to protect and make sure he's above board and not getting injured and stuff like that. You couldn't ask for a better matchup.
Yeah.
And this overseas matchup between the Ravens and the Titans.
And that's the thing I think that all of the fans in London and international fans that will be there, they're seeing some of the best of the best. I mean, they're going to get to see Odell Beckham Jr. They're going to get to see Lamar Jackson, Jeffrey Simmons, Derrick Henry, and DeAndre Hopkins.
Yes.
I mean, they're going to see some household names in this. But, yeah, this is going to be a very interesting matchup. And to see how the Ravens play this based on what happened to them in Pittsburgh will be even more interesting because, they still haven't figured out their offense yet.
No.
They hired Todd Monken from the Georgia Bulldogs, and they have their moments, but they had a period in this game at Pittsburgh where they didn't score for 9 straight possessions. They got up 10 points, 10-0, and then nothing after that. And Steelers scored 14 points in the fourth quarter. And the other part of it is Lamar Jackson has had a very good year as a passer. And you look at the stat sheet, and it's deceiving because when you look at his numbers, you're like, well, he didn't have as good a day. He had 9 wide receiver drops in that game in Pittsburgh. 9.
Mm-hmm.
Extreme amount for
That's
one
flagrant.
game.
Yeah.
That's flagrant. And that's why on the back end of this thing, I'm really hoping to see this Titans secondary defend those wide receivers because they got to be adamant. They have to be adamant about correcting what happened in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So let's get into that with Rhett Bryan coming up next. The one Steelers playmaker, not Steelers, that'd be a couple weeks. I'm looking at you thinking of Steelers. The one Ravens playmaker who not worries you, but it interests you the most, and someone that needs to be shut down, not named Lamar Jackson on this Ravens offense. There are options from the tight end position, some young wide receivers, some guys we liked in the pre-draft process who we discussed in the last hour on Scout Meeting Wednesday. The offensive player not named Lamar Jackson, who's the one you got to take away. We'll talk about that with Rhett Bryan coming up next.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson for the Ingram Agency, local agency right here in Middle Tennessee, founded from the ground up way back in 2010. Chris Ingram, along with his team of fully licensed professionals, have definitely created a strong agency that focuses on the entire state. They serve the entire state of Tennessee. So let's say you need insurance, right? Maybe you're looking for a change or looking just to add insurance for yourself. This is the company to work with. They specialize in a wide array of products. They include everything from auto, home, life, commercial, even aviation. And it's not your average insurance company. No, you won't be just another name on the roster. The Ingram Agency was founded on passion for education and support of its clients. And really, the one goal has always been to guide and protect those clients comprehensively. So let's say you want a family-owned insurance company. You want to feel a part of that family. They care about the customer. This is the agency to call. The Ingram Agency, 615-206-8276. Or to find out even more, you can log online to theинgramagency.com. Make sure to rest easy with the Ingram Agency.
RKW is brewed by 8th and Roast right here on 104.5 The Zone. Rhett, Bryan in studio, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer. I'm Will Bowling. This is a song that I have heard recently on Ted Lasso.
Yes, that's what it. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Was that on the finale?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I know this was definitely on
Yes.
on Ted Lasso
Yes,
at some
it
point
was.
in the most recent season.
Have we all seen that? Rhett?
I have not seen Ted Lasso.
I think you'd really
You
like
really
it.
like it.
I'll have to check it out.
And I'm not
Perfect
like
time
a
to watch it.
football connoisseur or a real fan, but I really
well, Jason
liked it.
Sudeikis, I always liked on SNL, so I mean that's got to be an easy watch for me, and from that point of it. Yeah, that's the Beatles' "Don't Let Me Down." That is from their final studio album, one of the handful of songs they played in their famous rooftop concert at Apple Records in downtown London. There, the last time they were all together before they broke up.
Wow.
And that is the late, great Billy Preston playing the keyboards on that, as he did on most of that album. It's one of my favorite Beatles songs. Love that song.
Ramon, are you still trying to find who remade a little bit of that?
It ain't even who remade it. Somebody pulled a sample out of that.
Sample
Don't
of it,
let
yeah.
me down. And I feel like it's either Lupe Fiasco, Kanye.
Lupe Fiasco.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy,
I would
there's
know if it was Lupe.
Wow. Wow.
We got bigger things to take care of. I can look at this sample later.
yeah.
All right,
You know
back
what's
to
crazy
football.
is these sample songs like this, like the Elton John and Dua Lipa, Cold, Cold Heart.
Yeah.
That samples about 4 of Elton John's songs in there.
Yep.
And you got to be a real Elton John connoisseur to know that.
Crazy.
But yeah, you just never know what you're going to get. It's like box chocolates. We're going to London.
I hate when that happens in music with me. You
Jenny.
know, I love music like most people do. And Rhett and I have shared these conversations before on samples and stuff like that that's been used by artists. And I love to connect the original version with the ones that I grew up listening to. Like, oh, I didn't know they did that song. And that was one of those moments. That's all. We're moving forward.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Rhett, we asked before the break, the one matchup you are most interested in on the Ravens offense, not named Lamar Jackson. Where does your brain go first?
I think it naturally, I mean, you want to say Zay Flowers because he's a rookie receiver with 29 receptions already. But I immediately go to Mark Andrews, the tight end, because that dude, I mean, he, outside of last week when he had some rare drops, he's Mr. Money.
Right.
And, you know, we haven't even gotten to their defense or their special teams with Justin Tucker, who is, good Lord, the king of all kings when it comes to the kicking game and accuracy and length and all those things. But who would you, when you tease that, who did you have in mind?
Zay Flowers was the one I was thinking of, but then Rashad Bateman is one I remember us talking a lot about in the draft process.
Sure.
Of someone who, when healthy and when right, is very athletic. Another PJ Fleck, wide receiver out of Minnesota, similar to the way that he coached Corey Davis in college, obviously too.
Sure.
But it's that interesting matchup for me of just dealing with 2 wide receivers with elite speed, and the way the Titans try to combat that while still putting safeties in a position to tackle Lamar Jackson and keep him in the pocket. I think for the Mark Andrews perspective, Rhett, it's interesting who the Titans devote to him defensively, right? Because we've seen third safeties come on the field. You know, Dane Cruikshank in years past was kind of a tight end eraser for the Titans. Is that Elijah Molden? Is that even something that Azeez Al-Shire feels like you have the comfort in him marking Andrews in coverage, marking using a little bit of a soccer term?
I mean, that may be that you may have come up with three different, solutions to that, hopefully. I'm not sure what the plan's going to be because obviously they had practice yesterday. It was closed.
Sure.
But yeah, I'll have a better picture of that very soon. But, this team still, the genesis of its offense is the run game, whether it's Lamar Jackson making off-schedule plays and on-schedule plays. I mean, he leads the team in rushing, but they got some dudes back there. I mean, Gus Edwards, but a guy I really like is Justice Hill. That dude can bust one just about any time. But they're number 4 in the league right now, 146 yards a game rushing. And when you compare that to the pass offense, which is 26 currently at 189 yards passing average per game. But, yeah, Mark Andrews has always been the rock-solid go-to. And I think as Zay Flowers continues to learn the game, I mean, listen, there's no question he's going to be special because you look at how he's playing already. I mean, he's right up there. Well, I'm looking at this right here from the Ravens release. Most receptions for rookies this season. Puka Nacua, who was just blowing it up in Los Angeles. Crazy. 46 receptions. Zay Flowers next. Right behind him, Sam Laporta from tight
Impressive.
end
Who you called out. Yeah, you said, hey, add him to your fantasy team.
Yeah, buddy. And he got me about 18 and a half points last week. I'm doing good in fantasy, but
you are.
My star wide receiver is Justin Jefferson, and that's not going to be good.
Dang it.
Don't like that. But anyway, that's a different story.
Rhett, can I ask you how important we were talking about the red zone offense, and while we felt like the offense as a whole got into a flow in the last game, it was the red zone offense that, clearly they need to execute better down there.
Yeah.
You look at this Baltimore Ravens defense, they are number one in red zone defense.
They sure are.
This is huge for the Titans this weekend to get that fixed.
Well, and to couple with that, they're tied for second in the NFL in points per game allowed at just 15. So those two go hand in hand, obviously. I don't know what the answer is. Well, actually, part of the answer is let's stop some of the self-inflicted penalties.
Sure.
Because that ruined a couple of those for them in Indianapolis. But, yeah, this is mega matchup time because that defense of the Ravens is just another iteration of what it's been for 20, 30 years. Big, giant dudes up front that are space eaters so that linebackers like Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith, for heaven's sakes, can run around and terrorize people. And that's what it's been. And then they've got these big corners, Marlon Humphrey's back in the mix. So, yeah, I mean, they've got a defense that reminds me of what this thing has been the whole time they've been the Ravens. Mm-hmm. You can go back historically and look at the Ray Lewises and the Peter Bullwares and Ed Reed and all those guys. I mean, they've just had them year after year after year. And it's no secret that that's what they're still doing because as Ozzie Smith is
Newsom.
Ozzie Smith played for the St. Louis. Anyway.
It's October baseball. We'll allow it.
I'm in a fog in London week here.
London fog.
Yes, London fog. Ozzie Newsome, that's how he operated. And of course, Eric DaCosta was his right-hand man for a long time. He's now in year 5 as the general manager. And so he's doing the same kinds of things because it has worked historically for them under John Harbaugh. So, yeah, the defense is stingy. They just are. And, I mean, they've got talent at all 3 levels. They just do. And that's why I say it's one of the many reasons why I say this is the best team the Titans have faced all year, by far. I mean, Kyle Hamilton's back there at safety. Jeez.
No, that's a linebacker.
Okay. That's fair.
6'4".
Jeez Louise.
6'4" safety?
Yeah.
You could put Roquan Smith probably at safety also. He's fast enough they could swap.
He leads the team in quarterback sacks.
Yeah, which is even
that's
more
incredible.
insane.
Inside linebacker.
Yeah, man. So looking at this in the notes of this game, are you surprised? Were you surprised this series is 13-13? As far as the matchup, 13-13, right? This is as close. And I asked you that question to get to this one, too. 13-13, tight series. The Titans have won 3 of the last 5. Do you expect special teams to be a factor in this one, too? Because we led, of course, with Justin Tucker being the dude. You cross the 50, that's 3 points for a team. It's kind of the way most people view him.
You don't even have to cross the 50 with him.
Right.
You see what I'm getting at? So it may come down to a kick, Rhett.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. This is a huge battle here because the Titans don't have chopped liver themselves. I mean, here's 37, 38-year-old Nick Folk who's busted over 2 50-plus yard kicks already, right? Or 3, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And then Ryan Stonehouse averaging almost 52 yards gross per punt and have put, I think, 7 inside the 20 already. Field position is always a biggie in this. And, yeah, it's match for match in this. And Devin Duvernay, their returner, dangerous.
You hear his name a lot.
So dangerous. But, yeah, if those receivers don't drop balls this week, Nelson Aguilar, Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, whew, I mean, you better have it together. You better have it together.
So
you better play 4 quarters of complimentary football as mistake-free as possible. That's what you better have.
I'm going into this game, and I'm kind of seeing this be the case. Okay, yeah, I think the Titans are a little dinged up. Almost everybody is at this point in the season, right? When you view what's necessary to win, we've spoken a lot about Baltimore because I think there's a lot of hate there too. Okay, we can just say that. Bert, I see you back there real quick. Okay?
There's absolutely hate.
I'd argue it's the most hated rival of Titans.
Yeah.
People say Colts, but
I would too.
I would say Ravens.
Which is fascinating. And it shows series been tied 13-13. Okay?
Oh, there's been some slobber knockers over the years.
And there's been some disrespect.
12-9.
Yeah.
16-13.
I mean, everything except an all-out brawl as far as without helmets being on.
Yeah.
Correct in this series, man.
Yeah.
But for the Titans offensively, to win this game, because points got to come. They have to. They absolutely have to be played out. Do we need to see more of D-Hop? The attention to detail, hey, fine 10.
There's only one problem with that.
Talk to me, Rhett B.
Somebody's going to end up doubling him.
Yep.
And then we need the Nick Westbrook-Akines and these other guys, the receivers, to show up in this. We need Chig. We need Chig Okonkwo.
Thought it was interesting, Mike Vrabel's comments on him the other day.
And consistent.
Yep.
And I think Chig would tell you the same thing. I think Chig wants to play better than what he's playing right now. I don't think there's any question about that. Where it starts, Ramon, is where it's what we talked about before the Colts game. It's the line of scrimmage, man. Your dudes got to beat their dudes. That's where you got to, whatever it is you're trying to do offensively, you've got to be able to do that.
Yeah, you do. And this is a game for me looking at the way Baltimore's stacked and the way traditionally the Titans are too. Young fella, okay, Peter Skoronski going to grow up. Going to have to. Aaron Brewer going to have to be the leader up the middle that you need to, especially with Bronsko being new to this series and the understanding of it, too. That's one thing I always appreciate about a free agent coming to a team and figuring out how to play certain opponents. I mean, beat the Colts. I mean, do those types of things. The Texans don't. All those types of conversations. This is a game in which this group can take a step in the right direction if they dominate this defensive front. And it's going to be a challenge because looking at the D-line that they have, I mean, that's some thick boys, okay? That's just simply put, Rhett B. And this game is going to be it's going to be predicated on who can start the run game better, and that's the way I kind of view this matchup going overseas. We can speak about the time change and what you need. This is going to be total dominance of the line of scrimmage from either side to determine who wins.
No, that's right. And here's the thing that's interesting in how you set this up with your question and actually what you're saying there. The Titans' offensive line didn't do bad in Indy.
Yeah.
They did not.
No.
The only quarterback sack they surrendered was right there at the end of the game.
That's very
and
true.
there was some hurries and hits and pressures and those things, but I saw there was a time early on where Ryan Tannehill took a couple of shots. But I also saw some times where Tajay Spears is a blitz pick-upper and, other guys where they're crashing the gates. I thought they did okay. The penalties, that's got to go out the window.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a place to build off of that and Peter's coming back from an appendectomy, missing 3 games. He played every single snap. So there's a place, he got some football strength and football conditioning back to him now that he played, 64 snaps or whatever it was. So, and I look at some of those blocks Aaron Brewer threw.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He pancaked one dude. He did.
And
Go ahead.
No, that's what the challenge is for me is those 3 up the middle. The outside of handle itself with, there's just layers of protection with the running backs and tight ends that stay in.
It's interesting. According to Pro Football Focus, Aaron Brewer is graded out as the 10th best center in the NFL this year.
Yeah.
Well,
Not
there you go.
surprising.
Peter Skoronski,
really?
the 19th best guard. Daniel Brunskill, the 14th best guard. Chris
Not
Hubbard, the 19th best tackle.
And Skoronski wouldn't be the 19th best guard because if he hadn't missed 3 games,
Exactly.
he'd be inside that top 10 probably.
I would agree.
Rhett, where can this Titans team exploit the Ravens at any position or side of the ball? What are you looking at?
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that because I know you had Bert in on the conversation because he's a Ravens guy, and you're right. He knows his stuff. And the first place I'd point to is the issues health-wise they're having at right tackle. That's a place where you could maybe exploit some things because Morgan Moses is their longtime starter, and he'd been out. And then the other guy that subbed for him ended up having an injury.
Yes.
Patrick McCary.
Yep, Patrick McCary.
He had a chest injury, and I think Morgan Moses has had a shoulder issue. And, Daniel Falele is the guy that probably would be there if those two can't go. That's the one spot where I'm like, okay, and that you're like, but Rhett, that's not a whole lot of places where you can exploit them. That's the first place I'm going to.
Sure.
When we're talking about it, when it has to be one at the line of scrimmage.
And Robert hit us with earlier that John Simpson, the left guard, has been the culprit of many penalties in the game. So if there's holding penalties to be had and somebody take advantage of, it's got to be him. I appreciate that. Didn't
he get shipped somewhere else or is on another second or third team because of that before?
I think Burke said, what is it?
He was with the Raiders previously.
Raiders.
All right.
There you go.
That's ugly. How you get fired for penalties?
He has 3 holdings, 1 false start for 4 penalties.
Okay, so there you go. So there's another dent in the armor.
Ugly.
And maybe there's a little bit of the woes of why they can't completely get their offense cranked and running. And I think the other part is they're learning what's going on under Todd Monken too. It's kind of like what the Titans are doing going through right now under Tim Kelly.
Right.
It's a different deal. So, and people would say, but Rhett, you're going into week 6 and you don't have all of it straightened out yet. Well, you got to understand. Yeah, they all practiced together and they all went through OTAs and camp and all that stuff. But there was no manufacture of real game situations in all of that. That's where people get hung up on the preseason games. The preseason games are just a mock of those things. You're not scheming. You're not showing any hands on the table of cards. Yeah, it's a game situation. A lot of the rookies and first-year guys get to play in those things more frequently than others because they want to get them through situational game things of going into the locker room, coming out in warm-ups, going in at halftime, just the creatures of habit stuff. But that's what I feel like where the Titans offense is they are just trying to get it all lined up. And I think once they do, it's going to be fun. And let's hope the Ravens don't figure that out against the Titans defense this week.
Well, including the playoffs, Lamar Jackson against the Titans is 2-2. He's only completed 58% of his passes, and he has 2 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, only 182 yards per game through the air. There's just something about a Mike Vrabel defense against Lamar Jackson that he has figured out ways to slow him down.
If you'll remember, in the 2019 playoff run of the divisional round, they're the ones that figured out, they cracked the code on how you defend Lamar Jackson. And it's much the same way, even though they're 2 different quarterbacks, that you would defend Patrick Mahomes. You cage rush him with 4 guys, and your other dudes cover everything else. Notice how Patrick Mahomes, when he first option, second looks, third look, fourth look are all occupied with dudes. If you go after him and flush him out of the pocket, he's going to run and beat you like nobody's business, whether he's rolling out and running for a first down or throwing a pass to somebody. Well, Lamar Jackson's the same dang way. And so that's what you got to do. You got to box him up, make him uncomfortable. And if you can get your hands on him, great. But you need a suffocating style of pass rush with the 4 guys you got up front.
He is Rhett Bryan at Titans Radio. You'll be able to hear him across the pond this weekend as the Titans take on the Ravens at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at the weekend.
And
Looking forward to coverage in it.
No holiday here. We're not on holiday. It's a business trip.
It's a business trip.
Rhett, for those unfamiliar with the changing start time, can you please tell the people when and where they can hear you on Titans
All right, so
Radio?
first of all, Zone folks out there at work this morning, it will start very early because of the time difference. Right here on the Zone, Countdown to kickoff starts at 6 a.m. We're on with Titans Countdown at 7:30. Kickoff is at 8:30 with Mike and Mac. And we'll have you done probably before you ever get out of church. So,
all right.
So just wear an earbud and tell the preacher, just point to your watch, wrap up the sermon.
Right.
It's late in the fourth quarter, and hopefully the Titans have a good lead, and here we go.
And he'll probably want to know the score, too. Him or her will want to know the score, too. Just have a whiteboard of just Henry for 6, 21-0 Titans. Just hold that
Just
up.
held the Ravens offense to 3 and out.
Perfect.
Turnover.
Rhett, thank you.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
We'll
Thanks,
see you
Rhett.
over there. It's going to be fun.
Coming up, a little bit of midweek motivation, courtesy of our guy, Inky Johnson, wrapping up the show.
It's Ramon and Kayla here for our friends at Window Nation. Kayla, fall's the best time of the year. I love it, okay? There's so much to love about the fall, especially returning Window Nation's best offer of the year, where you get 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. Plus, you can put no money down, make no payments, and pay no interest for 2 years. If your old windows are hard to open or close or drafty and leaky, now's the time to call Window Nation. So take care of it now before it gets really cold outside.
And Ramon, you mentioned it. The weather is changing it. We're seeing it more this week than ever. So I have a question to pose for y'all that maybe are in the car or listening to us wherever. Is the air, now that it's cooler, is that affecting how your windows open? If that is the case, guess what? Ding, I have the answer. You need new windows from Window Nation. Look, when you crank up the heat as well, which is coming soon, whether you like it or maybe you don't because your wife or your significant other is cranking up the heat, you could save up to 30% on those energy bills during the winter months. Window Nation, if you're wondering, they've installed nearly 2 million of those windows. They've got a 96% perfection rate, and they are considered one of the top window companies in the country. Take our word for it or just look online. They have over 10,000 online positive reviews. So take initiative now and take advantage of the deal. Buy 2, get 2 free. There is no limit, plus 000 for 2 full years. Go ahead, log on to windownation.com or simply call them at 866-90Nation.
Wrapping up the show on a Wednesday morning edition of RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast. Tomorrow will be our last show of the week in the continental U.S.
Yoo-hoo!
How about that?
That's awesome.
We just saw pictures of our setup. We're going to tweet these out at Ramon Kayla Will. Again, if you are headed to London, or maybe you're already there and listening to us right now, that'd be cool too. We encourage you to come join us Friday morning at the Admiralty. We just saw pictures of this place.
So sweet.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. So there's a balcony up top that we're going to be broadcasting from, overlooking all of the people. We expect it to be lively, loud. There is an England match that night, so I do imagine that there will be many people pre-gaming for the fixture, international friendly.
England and Australia.
England and Australia, that's right.
Definitely.
2 accents combined.
I saw that. Both of y'all.
Big matchup of 2 Commonwealth nations. That's a Commonwealth fixture.
Is it really?
In Australia in the Commonwealth.
I love Australian accents.
That's right.
Yeah, I just like it when I used to say Foster.
Oh, yeah, Foster is Australian for beer, is their tagline.
Which apparently they don't even drink over there, man.
What?
They don't even. It's kind of like what's the Jamaican beer? Red Stripe.
Red Stripe.
Like that. Like beer. They really don't drink Red Stripe over there like that either.
It's so they Americanized that and lied to us about it.
We drink Budweiser though.
Much.
It's the American one.
It is.
Do they drink Modelo in Mexico?
Yes, they do.
I was going to say,
And
Modelo is the
Dos Equis.
number one, I think, the number one beer in the world.
Yeah, Modelo
Is it really?
Yeah, it is. It's really good, too.
Wow.
No free endorsements,
Travis
but
likes that.
it is much better than the alternatives out
Yeah.
there.
It is pretty
cervezas.
especial.
Yes, it's actually really good.
Too good.
It's too good.
I really hope
Can
people
we sell
get that
this?
reference because I feel like we just say the same
I think by now they should
reference
know,
that nobody
right?
knows. I don't know.
They should know. We got to find a way to sell that, though.
Yeah, RKW. It's too good.
That's why we got 8th and Roast, though, too.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm feeling the 4th cup of coffee right now. I told y'all earlier, I had my 5 cups yesterday during the show, immediately fell asleep when I got home.
I don't know how you did that. I'm literally on like crank mode right now. I think
great.
I've had 4 or 5 today.
He was on that cliff, Kayla. That's how. And eventually that crash is going to show up at
There
some
are
point.
times, there was once
down.
on a plane, I was drinking a cup of coffee and I was holding it in my hand and I fell asleep.
Were there
Oh,
snakes
that's
on
the
it?
worst.
Are there what?
Snakes on it?
Why would there be snakes in a cup of coffee?
Oh, I
On the
thought-
plane.
On the plane.
I know, I was
Not
just
so
not giving
much.
you the satisfaction.
See, I know Will does that sometimes, man. Will's not going to help you out.
Like yesterday when somebody said trade Ryan to the Packers, I was like, why would you trade Ryan
Seriously.
Stonehouse to the Packers?
Oh,
You
yeah.
facetious
do
little
Who's going to
fella.
punt?
As a matter of fact, I got 2 dad jokes from Jimmy White while we were out of town.
Oh, he's
this
the
weekend.
king of
Did you?
that.
Yes, I
King
do.
of that.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Why don't goblins eat ghosts?
I don't know.
They don't taste very Gould. I don't know.
Because they taste like sheets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Love that. You
Keep
love
going.
it.
Do a
Jimmy
second.
gave
My
you that
second
one.
shout out to Jimmy. Yes.
Wow.
Very Gould was
Why
better.
does Waldo wear stripes?
Why? I love Waldo.
Why does he wear stripes?
I don't know. Is he in jail? I don't know.
Anybody? Going once?
No. Go ahead.
He doesn't like to be spotted.
Oh, okay. I do like that one.
Inky Johnson
'Cause
joins
I'm
us
a
Wednesdays
Where's
for
Waldo
Midweek
fan?
Motivation.
Thank you, Jimmy.
That's pretty good.
Maybe Inky can motivate you to have better jokes. What's up, Inky?
What's
How are
up,
you?
Ink?
What's up, guys?
He's laughing.
You like that one, don't you, Ink?
Oh, man.
Everybody needs a little laugh.
Oh my god, I love it, man. It's an honor as always, man. I hope you guys are doing great. I want to start us off with a quote that reads, "When you have humility, you always feel as if it's a better way." All right, when you have humility, you always feel as if it's a better way. Humility oftentimes creates a level of gratitude, and so I get a lot of messages just from different people. Right, just reaching out, whether it be email, some people through text, some people through social media, to where they'll just reach out, hey, Ink, this happened with this person, man. I think like it will benefit them if you could send them a word, a little message, nothing deep. Just send them a word of encouragement. And sometimes they'll send the situation that a person may be dealing with. And so yesterday I got a string of messages to my phone just about different situations, different circumstances. And when I look at these things, I always try to find a common thread, right? And I'm like, man, what's the common thread? And yesterday's messages, the common thread was everybody was in a period of transition, right? The adversity and opposition that they were dealing with, it was a period of transition. And so today, man, I just want to encourage somebody, right, to keep showing up, right? Even if you're not where you want to be, even if things are not transpiring the way you want them to, keep showing up, right? Even if you're in the midst of a storm, keep showing up. Even if you're in the midst of adversity and opposition, keep showing up. Even if you're on a journey to become a better person, keep showing up. Even if you're trying to change your diet, keep showing up. Even if you just started back working out, keep showing up. Even if you're trying to repair a relationship with your children, keep showing up. Even if you're trying to fix a mistake with your spouse, keep showing up. Even if you're in transitions with your careers, keep showing up. Because sometimes it's not about the opposition, the adversity, or the challenge. Sometimes it's about outlasting it. I'm going to say it again. Sometimes it's not about the opposition, the adversity, or the challenge. Sometimes it's about outlasting it. How do we outlast it? We keep showing up. That's my time. Take care. Go be great.